It's the UFC 200 Watch Party! Watch along with MMAfighting.com as we go back in time to July 9th, 2016 to revisit a historic pay-per-view event and one of the craziest fight weeks in UFC history. And in the eventual main event, Miesha Tate defends her women's bantamweight title for the first time against Amanda Nunes. In the co-main event, it's the return of former UFC heavyweight champion Brock Lesnar as he takes on Mark Hunt. Live on the MMA Fighting YouTube channel, this is the UFC 200 Watch Party.
Yes, we are live. Welcome to our second, I guess we're calling these the rewatch parties on the road to UFC 300 presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Tonight, it's all about UFC 200 as we go back and watch the main card from July 9th, 2016. And what a time it was. But not only are we going to go back and watch this main card, we're going to relive the absolute insanity in regards to the build to the card, all of the changes that were made in the main event, which of course also includes the massive main event change during fight week and what that was all like. So much to unpack with this one. I am Mike Heck, and I am joined start to finish for sure by producer extraordinaire, E. Casey Leydon. Casey, are you excited to go back in time? Chair spin if you'd like. Yeah. UFC 200, you were there, right?
I was there. This is the time I was traveling every freaking week. I was there, but I wasn't sure I was going to be there because at UFC 199, something happened. But cooler heads prevailed, and I was at UFC 200, and it was quite the fight week. And I'm sure we have plenty of time to talk about it in this upcoming few hours.
So much to talk about. And also joining us, a man who was also there covering the event, boots on the ground almost 8 years ago, our road warrior here at MMAfighting.com. Time certainly flies, doesn't it, José Youngs? How are you? A bright-eyed, bushy-tailed man just trying to make a name for himself in this business. And now, look at you now in New York, just living the dream. How's it going?
What's up, man? Yeah, it was so long ago that I couldn't even remember who I was there for in terms of like publication, because I've worked at a myriad of places before I signed on to MMA Fighting. And I'm like, at first I thought it was at Fansided, Sports Illustrated, but then I realized that UFC 200 was my last event with the MMA Corner, which doesn't even exist anymore. And because of my coverage at the MMA Corner, I got a job at Fansided, Sports Illustrated off of that. So, yeah, that was a long time ago. That was back when the media room was the visiting team's locker room backstage. They even have the tent out at the MGM yet. So, yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yes.
I forgot. Yeah, the little time. Oh, that room was so crowded. It was so awful. Insanely crowded. Yeah, that was right.
And I remember. Yeah. And I remember, like we would get there, like all the MMA media would get there early because you had to like claim your spot for the scrum. You had to, yeah. Because now there's like names on the ground and names on your seat and wherever. So you don't have to get there 4 hours early to get in line to claim a seat. And a lot of the local media, or like because it was UFC 200, there was a lot of like Southwest or just the LA Times and everything. They didn't need the prelims. So they would all show up for the main card, and then they would try to like shove their giant broadcast cameras into the scrum, and we were not having it. That was a bad time. But yeah, thank God we don't have to deal with that anymore.
And I remember having to get there like an hour before they let us in. Yeah. And this is in Vegas, and
it's just so hot.
So sometimes, it was. Oh yeah. When people go, hey, so I want to be in MMA media. What should I do? It's like, run away.
Buy a sauna and get you ready.
That was the only pay-per-view I remember where. So there was so much media they had to open. Like there was a adjacent room that was for, I don't know what the Golden Knights use it for, but it was just like a room across the hall, and they had to open that room for media too, for us to work. Yeah. So we'd have to run from room to room.
Fun times.
What a time. What a time. All right. So we have tried to make this super easy for everyone. Now, you guys can fire this up however you'd like on wherever you'll be watching. But what I would suggest is go to MMAfighting.com. You can go to the post for this watch party. It should be right on the homepage. Might be the top one. I hope it's the top one at this point. If you go into the article for this watch party, we have the YouTube link for this event on the bottom of the post. Now, if you look at it, it says full event. I understand that. So we tried to embed it to start at like right when the main card starts, but we've had like 5 or 6 different people try it, and it starts right around the same time, but not exactly. So started at 2:24:32 and then just pause it. So that's when the main card is like the open and all that stuff's going to start off. So what we'll do is we'll start up the stream. I'm going to eventually count down from 5, and then I'm going to say and go, and we'll all be all set to be linked together. We'll also have the fight clocks on for each fight, so you know where we are as we're watching it. So it's going to start with Cain Velasquez versus Travis Browne. Then we'll get the interim featherweight title fight between José Aldo and Frankie Edgar. We'll get Daniel Cormier versus Anderson Silva, which we'll talk about how the hell that happened in a few moments. Brock Lesnar versus Mark Hunt in the co-main event. I'm sure we're going to talk about that as well. And then the actual main event, at least what it became, Miesha Tate versus Amanda Nunes for the women's bantamweight title. So let's go ahead and get ready to fire up the Wayback Machines again. If you're just joining us, MMAfighting.com, go to the watch party post, start the video, get it ready, 2:24:32. Here we go. It should be ready, 2:24:32. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. There you go. There's the flags. There's the images, the open back in the day. Remember this?
Oh.
Look at this.
I want Gladiator. I miss Gladiator, man.
We got that for 100. That was a good time.
Mhm.
And there it is. There's Las Vegas. There's the hotels. There's Mike Goldberg. There's the T-Mobile Arena. Look at this. Tim McGraw up on there.
See, now the media lines up on the left side, but in this era, we had to line up on the right side, and there was zero shade because that's where the sun was blasting us.
Yep, in the afternoon, it was right. Ugh.
Yeah, it was the roll-up doors on the right. Now we go up to the window on the left.
Of course.
So what time is it on your clock right now?
Banner. I'm at 2:25, 21, 22, 23, and counting.
Okay, I'm 1 second behind. That's close enough. That's close.
I see Frankie Edgar doing his thing.
Yeah.
All right, so let's give a little background on this.
Do they still do this? They don't do this for pay-per-views
no, they do
anymore, right? The gray screen, they do the black and white stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
but I don't know if they. I don't know if they do it on the broadcast, but they do it in the arena. I know for sure.
Oh yeah, because they do the Ron Perlman thing for all the pay-per-views now.
So they don't do this anymore, right? What we're seeing now, the whole black and white. Everyone
not on the broadcast.
Yeah. No, okay. So yeah, they got rid of this. I kind of miss this now.
Yeah. There's Mark Hunt. Fun times. All right, a little background on this card before we dive into the fight week insanity. Like I mentioned earlier, this card took place July 9th, 2016 at the T-Mobile Arena, which was the first event ever at the T-Mobile Arena. This is the opening day for the arena. First event ever, UFC 200. On the call, Joe Rogan and Mike Goldberg. Yes, no John Anik just yet for these big pay-per-view shows. Final attendance, 18,202, which is a record for the UFC in the state of Nevada. Gate was $10.7 million, which is the biggest MMA gate ever in the United States at the time. And according to ratings guru Dave Meltzer, UFC 200 did 1,009,000 pay-per-view buys. Total disclosed payouts for the event, $6.979 million, which was believed to be the highest disclosed combined fighter payday in UFC history. Big reason, Brock Lesnar gets the highest disclosed pay in UFC history at the time at $2.5 million to fight Mark Hunt. Coincidentally enough, Mark Hunt had the second highest disclosed payoff for UFC 200 at $700,000. There was no fight of the night. 4 performance bonuses. 2 of them will be from fights we will watch on this watch party. The others went to, do you guys remember? 2 prelim fighters got performance bonuses.
Let me look at it real quick. What was a good? I don't remember performance.
There's no fight of the night.
I was muted the whole time, but I'm pretty sure it was Joe Lozon was one of them.
Joe Lozon was 86th
And-
second TKO over Diego Sanchez.
And it was Gegard. It was Gegard, right?
The
Because
Moose
they
got
were the two
one. The
early
Moose got
fights.
one. Yes.
Yeah,
Moose got
because
one.
he smashed
First
Dutch
round
out. But they
finish.
were both like fight pass prelims. They weren't even televised prelims, correct? Because those were two of the first three fights.
Mousasi was the second fight of the card.
I completely forgot Mousasi was on UFC 200.
Yeah.
He's like legit one of my favorite fighters ever. I completely forgot. It just seems so far down the card. Him and Santos. Wow. Yeah, I kind of purposely haven't looked at this card at all. Like even the lineup. I'm not want it to hit me again.
The curtain.
Right.
Look at the curtain rise. That is fun.
Oh
Look
yeah.
Look at the fun that was had. Oh, and then let's see it. Turn the lights on. Let's see that disgusting mustard yellow canvas.
King of the Cage.
The king of the cage.
Cage Rage, yeah. Yeah, that was one of those.
Man.
I know Dana thought he was so I got it, a gold canvas, and was like, well, this is as close as we can get to gold. I guess they were going for gold. I assume that was, and just came out yellow.
I think that was the plan.
Yeah.
This is not the Joe Rogan from UFC 100 had hair. He had the beard. We got bald Rogan here.
See. Yeah, he looks more like this is like the Rogan we kind of know now, pretty much. This, yeah.
This is the Rogan that we know now. There is so much to talk about with this card. Let me just pull it out. I put together a little bit of a timeline here in regards to the main event. This is fucking wild, and I will obviously weigh in with you guys on the closing ends of this. So this is how the whole main event picture began for UFC 200. It actually began on our website, MMAfighting.com. A young whippersnapper reporter, you might know him. His name is Ariel Helwani, reports March 18th, 2016, just days after their first meeting, which left shockwaves across the MMA community, that Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz 2 was in the works to be the original main event for this card. Fight was made official 12 days later. Then on April 19th, which is about 3 weeks after that, Dana White goes on SportsCenter and he announces that Conor McGregor was no longer competing on the card. He was pulled because, this is what Dana White said, quote, Conor did not want to come to Las Vegas and film the commercial or be a part of any of the marketing we have. He's in Iceland training, and that's just not possible. Of course, in classic Conor McGregor fashion, the same day, Conor would go on Twitter and announce the first of like 800 retirements. The infamous, I have decided to retire young. Thanks for the cheese. Catch you later tweet. That's what we got. And then a few days later, McGregor released a lengthy statement that he was unretiring, but wanted to focus on fighting and not promoting. And he ended his statement with this quote. Let me pull it up. It is time to be selfish with my training again. It is the only way. I feel the $400 million I've generated for the company in my last 3 events, all inside 8 months, is enough to get me this slight leeway. I'm still ready to go for UFC 200. I will offer, like I already did, to fly to New York for the big press conference that was scheduled, and then I will go back to training with no distractions. If this is not enough, or they feel I've not deserved to sit this promotion run out this time, well, then I don't know what to say. For the record, also, for USADA and for the UFC and my contract stipulations, I am not retired. Dana also announced that he expected Nate Diaz to stay on the card, but Diaz said thanks, but no thanks, essentially, and basically acted as if, look, I'm fighting Conor. I'm not fighting anybody. Fight was originally scrapped at the end of April, but in its place, another heated rematch was announced. This one for the light heavyweight title, Daniel Cormier versus Jon Jones 2. As Jose and Casey probably both remember, these guys were supposed to fight at UFC 197. DC gets injured, so Jon Jones returns for the first time following the hit and run he was involved in that caused the UFC to strip him of the title, which is then won by Cormier against Anthony Johnson at UFC 187. Jones ends up facing Ovince St. Preux and wins the interim title. And this was obviously great news, right? Suitable replacement. We don't get Conor Nate 2, but we get freaking Jon Jones versus DC 2. These guys hate each other. And at the time, this was viewed as the fight between the two best pound-for-pound guys in the world, headlining UFC 200. Also announced José Aldo versus Frankie Edgar for the interim featherweight title. The actual belt was held by Conor McGregor at the time. That was added to 200. Also, Tate versus Nunes for the bantamweight title. Plus, one other big fight in return, which we're going to talk about later in the program for sure. But back to Cormier Jones 2. Gentlemen, you were both there. 4-fight week because, as we know, that fight did not take place at UFC 200 because 3 days before the event, Jon Jones was removed from the bout after a positive USADA drug test, thus continuing one of the chaotic weeks of all time because back then, Jose, as you could recall, UFC 200 was not the only event that happened that week because there was also that fight night card on the Thursday with the lightweight title on the line between Rafael dos Anjos and Eddie Alvarez when Eddie Alvarez gets the finish and wins the belt. Friday was the tough finale, and we got the rematch between Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Claudia Gadelha, plus all of this 200 stuff happening. Now we find out Jon Jones isn't fighting anymore. He's pulled. DC, I remember watching the vlog when Dana told DC that Jon was out of the fight and just seeing DC's reaction was crazy. But at this moment, Jose, yeah, so bad, man. He's like, I'll still fight him. I don't care. And Dana's like, we can't. All this stuff. But at this moment, when you get word that Jon is out and all this other stuff is happening, like, how would you describe what was going through your mind and what the rest of that night looked like? Like, so much just to unpack with all of this. When you found out Jon was out, what happened next?
But Jose, did you find out through the actual press conference, or did you just assume what the press conference is about? Like, we weren't 100% sure, right?
Is this the press conference with Jon crying?
It's the same one, right? That's the
Yeah.
same one? Okay, it's the same one.
I don't
Jon
remember.
was it not?
I remember being at the one with Jon crying and his like Malky was there, and I think one of his other PR lady was there, and he had to like get up and leave, but then he came back, and that was his studio A and B. Is that the one you're talking about? Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't remember who texted me, but I just remember like there was something going down at studio A and B, and I remember this is when I was like basically working for free, and I can't even remember I was staying at some terrible hotel, and I was getting dinner with. Or I was walking. We had just sat down to eat. It was me, Jim Edwards, Matt Wells, who's now an MMA junkie, and Danny Austin, who is with the Calgary's son. I don't remember what one of the 1,000 outlets Jim was working for at the time. And we all got. Oh, I got a text message, and I think Danny got a text message. So we all went and filmed it, and that's when they announced the big thing. And I think, Mike, this is like a lot of people in our not Slack channel, like our comments or people in general. I rarely have reactions to things anymore, as you guys know. And a lot of people are like, oh, Jose is just negative and Jose doesn't like show emotion. It kind of started with this because like I was like, it's like
you
we were all excited to watch
UFC 200.
It's not even like because like honestly like I stopped getting excited for main events. Like my line like it's not official until they enter the octagon. That really started with UFC 189 when Aldo broke his ribs like very close to the fight with the first fight with Conor, or the scheduled first fight with Conor. And then if you remember like that 2016, it was just a lot of chaos. And then what was it 2013 or 2012 when like one main event was like from like you know what I'm talking about though? Like there was one main event for like that whole year of all the pay-per-views that like survived because everyone just kept getting hurt or like something would go wrong. I can't remember what year it was, but it was like I'm pretty sure MMA Fighting has like a list of all the injuries and drug failures that happens that year. Like that's how bad it was. So when they announced it, I was super disappointed, but I was just like, like you know what? Like I'm at this point I've been covering 26. I've been covering UFC for like 7 years, and I was like, this is whatever. Like I'm disappointed, but I'm just like I had been jaded for so long, and then this is like where it tipped over, where I just like right now in like the main event for UFC 200, if Jamal Hill gets pulled or Alex was pulled, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like I just never got climbed back out of that hole. If that makes sense.
So going back and just like doing a little research, apparently Wednesday night, Dana did an impromptu press conference at the MGM Grand announcing that Jon was
That's
out.
right.
And the next morning, that's when Jon did his press conference, essentially apologizing to DC and everybody and all of that. So
that's right. I do remember all that.
Casey.
Yep.
Tell us the story, Casey. Tell us what happened.
So I think the crew we had that weekend was Era Hawani as our lead reporter. I'm pretty sure Mark Raimondi was still with us. Now he's like some football reporter now apparently. Man, is it Shaheen? I think we have one more other person there, and Esther, a photographer, and me being the video person. We were staying at the MGM Signature, which is, if you're familiar with that property,
It's like right next to it.
Yeah, right next to it. We were all about to go out because it happened like around 7 or 8
Super
that
late.
evening. Yeah,
Super late.
So we were about to go to dinner that night because we thought we were done for the day, and just by chance, I think Ariel like saw a tweet or a text. We weren't actually even informed that it was going on. We just kind of had to call some other people. We just kind of heard rumors, so made a couple of calls, and some other reporters like, yeah, like they didn't actually tell us. Like UFC didn't tell us. We just kind of heard. So we were like, okay, I guess we're not going to dinner, and we just got all our crap together, ran down to the MGM Grand Studio A or Studio B, and then we sat around and kind of set our cameras up. Like it was a press conference. It was like the press conference like for the post pressers. So it was a big post pressers that they would have when they had events at the MGM Grand, which they haven't had anyone since then as far as UFC events. And then we just sat around and we kind of were like, no way, this couldn't be about Jon Jones. We were kind of thinking it was, but no way. And then they came out, watched the press conference. I'm pretty sure Jeff Davinsky speaked. The PR lady for Jon Jones spoke for some odd reason. It was very awkward. And then the infamous Jon Jones crying, that he was out. And honestly, yeah, it was shocking. It's still shocking. It's still shocking today. Honestly, UFC 200, the biggest pound for pound 1 and 2, about to face each other, and it was just gone. And then on top of that, we didn't see the DC footage that I think was going to be embedded at that time.
Yeah.
But add that and everything, it was just an incredibly shocking event. And I think that would be the number 2 most biggest fight week shocker. Number 1, of course, being the Habib Conor throw the dolly through a bus event fight week.
Yeah.
But that's a strong number 1. But number 2 will be this, as far as like, oh my God, this is wild. And I think at the moment everyone assumed it was gonna be Brock Lesnar in the main event, but I think there was some business issues where Brock didn't get the main event because I think that's some money issues. So did they announce Tate Nunes the main event? No, didn't they announce Brock was gonna be the main event that night, or did they not say what?
Well,
was the main
I don't think it was anything was official yet. I'm remembering all of this off the top of my head. I do remember because it was. They announced Anderson was fighting DC during the broadcast of Eddie and RDA.
Yeah, this has to be. Yeah, this is important to note that there were 3 cards that weekend too. This is so different. They don't do it anymore.
That's terrible.
Yeah, so imagine
it was
how much
fun, but it was
fun, but
out.
yeah, and imagine how much bigger UFC 200 could have been if all those cards were consolidated into one. Put Claudia, Joanna, and everything on one card. But we're about to start the first fight. Looks like.
Yes, we're about to get Cain Velasquez versus Travis Browne. This is Cain's return to the octagon.
This was also back when the UFC would not tell anyone where the official weigh-ins were. Remember, Casey? You just kind of had to know.
It was a secret. Yeah, it was almost.
Yeah, and then I remember we showed up and they were like, "You want to film this?" And I was like, "Yeah, we really do." And they're like, "Oh, we don't really have anywhere for you to sit. You could just stand, I guess." Yeah, and then everyone would stream it on Facebook. I remember.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to see Cain Velasquez back. I remember when this is a very big deal because he lost the belt to Fabricio Verdum at UFC 188, and then he was supposed to. Then did Stipe had already won the belt, right?
No. Yeah, 198.
Yeah, because Cain and Stipe.
198. Yeah.
Yeah, because Cain and Stipe were supposed to headline what was supposed to be the February pay-per-view. And then
it was gonna be for Doom. It was gonna be for Doom and Cain, but then Cain got hurt. So they pulled him and then they elevated Johnny Hendricks and Wonder Boy to the main event and just made it a fight night.
That's right. Yeah, I knew he was involved.
This was also Cain had Cain's sciatic nerve was all banged up, I remember, and he was smoking weed to dull the pain, and this is back when weed was like worse than heroin, like in the UFC's eyes. So
You're a weed head.
Oh man, I just remember this Kane threw that spinning wheel kick like so earlier in the fight, and I just remember like, oh, Kane's the best heavyweight of all time.
He just moved like so well here. It's unbelievable.
But I tell you what, you might have been there with me, Casey. We were actually, you definitely were there with me because we went to have breakfast and we were talking with Greg Jackson, and he's like, if you just show a silhouette of a fighter, you can tell who trains at AKA. And it's Kane, DC, Habib, Islam. Everyone holds their hands the same way and they're like moving their head around and they're just like, it's all exactly the same.
Yeah. Which is, like you said, it's great for that style of fighter. Greg was like, no,
100%.
like if they find the right type of fighter goes to AK, they can become super high level fighters.
Yeah,
and Kane was like just perfect for the Hob Mendez, Bob Cook style of fighting.
100%. And Travis, this is when Travis was with Edmund, right?
Yeah, he had left Jackson's at this point.
Yeah.
He was on a little bit of wasn't he on like a bit of a roll here?
No, I think he had just beat Brendan Schaub, so that doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, he was on a roll before this. I think was it the loss to Verdum that derailed him, kind of, or not?
I know
he got Silva.
Well, Bigfoot Silva's when I think he tore his hand. Well, against Bigfoot is when he tore his hamstring, like in the middle of the first round. So he fought and got knocked out. Then he went on a tear because I remember he knocked out Overeem and Barnett with the elbows, the Travis Browne elbows. And then Verdum just ran through him in Orlando, if I remember correctly. And then he TKO'd Brendan Schaub, and then he got and then the Arlovsky fight, if that's the one after, is one of the best first 1-round fights you'll ever see.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, out of nowhere. What? I think it was the last time Arlovsky was in a slobber knocker.
Yes, and Andre Arlovsky backfisted him by like a front forward back fist, like a pimp slap kind of. It was great. And then I think he TKO'd or subbed Mitrione, and then this was the beginning of his trajectory down.
Yeah. So what
to
was the
be
line?
fair,
you have the betting line coming into this?
I have no idea.
Oh,
spinning wheel kick from Cain Velasquez. What do you do with that?
Cain Velasquez is a -320 favorite.
Okay, I'm looking at 100%. Tapology, and 90% of people had Kane winning this fight coming into the fight. So
100%.
Kane was a big favorite coming into it. Okay, I was just double checking.
And I know DC has talked about this spinning back kick, and he's like, Kane has never thrown that ever, and he just threw it in a fight, and not only threw it, but that was like the beginning of the end of the fight.
Look at that control.
Kane just smothered him, dude. So like good. Travis can't do anything.
Cain Velasquez is so good. I'm so disappointed that how his career ended.
Yeah, it's just them sports
injuries, man. He also, do you remember when all those videos of his personal trainer came out?
Yeah, they were showing like doing on at the gym doing weights, and like everyone's like, "That's not how you do those machine weights." Yeah,
he's like Cain Velasquez, notorious for just really healthy knees, like leg extensions with 200 pounds at full speed. I'm like, oh god, he's gonna his knees are just gonna be shredded before this fight.
Man, Travis.
Or he had a kettle. He had like 150-pound kettlebell, and he's doing like snatches. I'm like, oh no, Cain Velasquez, don't do that.
Okay, yeah.
That just sounds awful.
Okay, so Travis worked his way up. All right, this is good. Travis, you still
Travis. Oh, dude, Travis at one point was like the future heavyweight.
Oh, Cain just drills him with the left.
Ooh.
Oh, there's the kick again.
Oh my god! Cain Velasquez.
I'm like 1 second behind. Yeah.
Oh, big need.
This isn't.
You can just see the look in Travis Browne's face. It's about.
Yeah, he is just. Yeah, he is. Like it took him so much energy to get up, and this is.
Cain just took his soul in the first 2.5.
He hates. I don't like saying this about high level fighters, man. But just seeing someone go, I just don't want to be here. I just don't want to be here.
Pretty much what happened there, and that's it. That's the fight.
That's it. Yeah.
this is Cain Velasquez's last fight until the Ngannou fight.
Yeah.
So he injured himself in training?
Yeah, right.
Is that what happened?
I think injuries and all like everything's just kept his body just fell apart.
Because you're supposed to headline against Verdum again at the end of the year, right?
Yeah. I don't think you're supposed to headline. What were you saying?
I was saying this is one of those fights, like as impressive as it was for Cain, as a fan, it almost felt disappointing because it's just like too easy. you know, like we're like, I think because everyone's kind of saw what we saw. Just Travis Browne, I don't want to be here. Just nope. I'm not gonna beat this guy, and it's just. Because it wasn't like this loud roar from the fans when it happened. It was like, all right, fight's over. We kind of saw it.
It also just cemented Cain as being just possibly the best heavyweight. He did what he was supposed to do.
Well, what's the elevation of Vegas? Sea level? Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
So I guess that first press conference when Dana announced it, and the PR lady as well. DC was there.
Yeah, I knew that. He opened it.
As well.
Him and DC and Dana opens the presser. Skinny DC.
Yep. This guy always gives me good news, Cormier said of Dana White. This guy calls you with a 7-figure check. Dude, you're rich now. He calls you with good news. And the mood didn't feel very good. It was scary. So I came here, and I was actually early. It's probably the first time I've ever been early. I needed to know. But he's usually the good news guy, and today he gave me some pretty bad news. There's Daniel Cormier in his reaction at that press conference. Man, that's insane. Poor DC. I'll never forget watching that vlog when Dana told him, and he just lost it. Emotionally broke down.
I'm trying to just imagine that is what DC went through that day. No one's really gone through that in the history of the world. Like to fight at such a giant event against your nemesis, and then just days and after a brutal camp, brutal weight cut. And then 2 days out, hey, what's up? Yeah, I'll come down there. What do you want to talk about? And then just it's just wild. It is the emotional roller coaster is such an understatement. Like it's that DC was at the
peak of his freaking powers, man. Mm-hmm. He was at the peak of his powers. Jon was coming off the OSP fight where he didn't look all that good.
Yep.
So like it's probably like in most people's eyes his best chance to beat Jon.
Yep.
And it just never came to be. I mean, it did eventually, but
it didn't happen.
What was this fight?
There was no contest.
Yeah,
that's true. What was this fight before? Was it the Gustafsson fight? Or was there another fight somewhere in there
for DC?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
The Rumble fight.
He beat Rumble to get the title, and then I think his first defense was
after this, after 200.
Yeah, and then the second Rumble fight was in Albany. And that was after UFC 202 because when Rumble sent
wasn't it Albany? Or was it Buffalo?
Yeah, one of those two. It's probably Buffalo, honestly. But he when he punched his tooth into the second stands, Rumble. That was like number one contender fight.
Yeah, Albany got one UFC event ever.
Yes,
and it was headlined
by Derek Lewis,
Shamil Abdurakhimov,
and we're still pulling that stuff. Years later.
Derek Lewis, even back then. Hey, what did you think about when you got the fight, Derek? I had no idea what this guy was. And he literally will say that about Rodrigo Nascimento. He says Meta and literally everybody else.
In Fight Valley stars, Miesha Tate and Brian Caraway.
Wow, that's such a trip scene.
Jesus. Look at Amanda Nunes.
When we were in Dallas when Derek Lewis fought Sergey Pavlovich, we were trying to get a media member to ask Derek, if Sergey Pavlovich walked in, could you tell us who that was? Because we know he will say no. But he'd get really pissy because this is when he was annoyed at the media.
Oh, yeah. Which he typically is.
Yeah. Except with Matt Wells, and John Morgan.
Now we're getting the promo for José.
Do you remember who Amanda Nunes beat to get this title shot?
Valentina, right?
Went,
197.
196. It was
196.
196. Yeah. It was a 3-round fight, but Valentina won the final round. So everyone was saying, like, oh, if it was 5 rounds, Valentina would have won. And then when they rematched, you could very easily argue Valentina won the second fight.
Yeah. J-Fish, song album you had on repeat around July 2016. Golly, man. So I was working in radio at the time. Wow. So I was working on a hit music station. So I actually, when I watched this card, people knew like how much I loved it, and I was like getting into it, and I was covering it, I was doing interviews and stuff. So I actually put together like a viewing party at like a local bar, and I actually got like John Doomsday Howard to like come out, and like we did some stuff on stage and stuff. It was pretty cool. And we had sold a whole bunch of tickets until the John news came out, and then everyone's like, nah, not coming anymore. Wow. So like we had sold it out, and then once John was out and they announced the new main event, like 75% of the people were like, nah, I need a refund, and didn't come. So that was tough. Like the people who came had a good time, but the number one song in July of 2016 was Justin Timberlake's Can't Stop the Feeling. That's when that song came out, and it was freaking massive.
I'm looking at my Spotify. I'm trying to quickly figure out if I can figure out what 2016 I was listening to. I can't. Okay. Oh, that was the year Frank Ocean's Blonde.
Yeah, that was what I was about to say. Yeah, the one that's the one that is I can't show you, but that album cover is tattooed on my arm.
Oh, that was a great. Oh man, what a great year for R&B. Like Beyonce's Lemonade came out, Frank Ocean's Blonde came out, and Solange was Solange is better than Formation, 100%. I go to very few big concerts, and I went to go see Solange at the Hollywood Bowl a couple years ago.
It's great.
So good.
She's so good. I think Chance the Rapper, I don't remember.
Kanye West's Life of Pablo came out that year too. Chance the Rapper. Oh wow, what a great year. Oh my goodness.
It's a very good year.
Yeah, but yeah.
Probably Blonde, just knowing me, but I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. I listen to a lot of the same stuff over and over and over.
Yeah, I was probably listening to a lot of Gangstar still.
Yeah, I mean that's always on my playlists.
Oh, Rihanna's out. The Rihanna Anti album came out. Man. Well,
the number one song. The number ones. Who had the number one and number two song of 2016? Same artist. Can you guess?
Say it again.
Who had the number one and number two biggest songs of 2016 in the Billboard year-end chart? Same artist had one and two.
Probably Taylor Swift.
Nope.
Was it Beyonce?
Rihanna.
Wasn't Beyonce?
It was the Biebs. Justin Bieber. Yeah. Love Yourself and Sorry both came out that year. One Dance was number 3 by Drake. Rihanna number 4 with Work.
Yeah, Work.
21 Pilots, Stressed Out. Panda by Designer. Hello by Adele. Don't Let Me Down, Can't Stop the Feeling. Closer by the Chainsmokers. Top 10.
And I know was it July, August, September? In 4 months, Starboy came out too. So that was all I listened to for about a year. That album I have the vinyl signed by The Weeknd hanging on my wall right here.
How's it hold up? You think it holds up perfect still after all these years?
Starboy?
Yeah.
Starboy? It's the beginning of a new era, and that's how I'll kind of look at it.
Yeah. I can still throw in that. Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
But I also think House of Balloons is my favorite. Isn't my favorite album ever? It might be. That's the one I listened to the most in my life. House of Balloons. That's the perfect album. And then Starboy is when he's moved on from his mixtapes.
Question for the audience, because you weren't here, Jose, for our UFC. Or wait, maybe you were, but where were you for UFC 100?
UFC 100, I was in El Paso, Texas, watching UFC 1, the pay-per-view with my uncle and cousins, writing for a small blog called JoseYoungsMMA.com, which no longer exists.
That's awesome.
I'm not kidding. That's
a crazy coincidence. That's also your name. That's wow.
I couldn't believe it.
You
I know.
cover MMA.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. I don't believe it. So yeah. So that's that's what I was doing. That's where I watched it. And I remember I was a really big Dan Henderson fan, and I was a really big George St. Pierre fan, and I was a very big Yoshihiro Akiyama fan, and I was so excited to watch him fist.
Hey, so it was a good night for you as a fan.
Yeah, dog. And then like Brock, I was on like I got the appeal, but I was never like, oh, I have to watch Brock Lesnar, but I understood.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah,
I understand.
Looks good coming off a bus.
Yeah,
looks like the bus coming off the bus.
But I just remember all my cousins are actually a lot of my cousins were collegiate wrestlers, so they knew Brock Lesnar as like the NCAA national champion, not the WWE superstar. So they were all hyped to see Brock Lesnar, and I was like, "Yeah, but there's this really handsome Korean fighter that's kicking off the pay-per-view," and they were like. Yoshihiro, I can't even speak English. So I was like, doesn't matter. He's about to mess up Alan Belcher. And that fight was really fun.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
Everyone shut up. Watch the walkout. Watch this walkout.
Yeah, literally, that's all I was doing.
Shut up. Watch the walkout. Turn it up. I want to hear the song.
I was so excited. And they were just like, no, we don't. It's like, they were all like just drinking beers. And I was like 18 at the time.
Dude.
José Aldo walking out to like some fake rock song.
Oh yeah, they replaced all the music in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There he is.
This is the fight that Conor McGregor. This is the fight Conor McGregor stood up for the whole fight.
Oh, is this it? Okay. Mm-hmm.
There's got to be a great Esther Lynn photo of that somewhere.
Yeah. There is.
Yep.
We got to find it.
These two gentlemen will after this not soon after, but a couple years later, will go down to 35.
I know.
Both these gentlemen.
Frankie would get another title shot too at 45.
Oh yeah, Frankie. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, these remember back in these days, these chubby featherweights.
God,
where did the 10 pounds come from? The extra 10 pounds. It's insane. I don't get it. Frankie, we always kind of suspected that we could. Oh, sorry. Go on.
This is way more buff man than 100.
Yeah, that was really interesting watching 100, and like we're like, oh, Buffer wasn't the thing he is by 200. No. It was buff. It was buff time. But
I honest to God think it was Rogan's vlog when he had Buffer doing the Buffer 360 that really got people talking. Because remember, Rogan would do a vlog. He did a UFC 100 vlog, and he was like pestering Buffer to do a 360, and then he did it. That's Rogan was really the first comedian to embrace like YouTube and podcasts and everything. I think that's what pushed it over.
How young Frankie Edgar looks.
This is
he
wild.
looks. But I remember Kellerman at Media Day was like, Frankie, when do you think you'll hang it up? And Frankie's like, I'm about to fight José Aldo. Like, what are you talking about? And everyone's like that. And everyone's like, that's Kellerman. It's like, relax.
So I don't know what the line is, but in Tapology, where it's just straight picks, this kind of surprised me. 65% of fans had Frankie Edgar winning this fight, coming into the fight.
Yeah.
So Frankie was
a favorite. People freaking loved Frankie.
Well, José Aldo had also been. José Aldo was knocked out in like 13 seconds his last fight.
Yeah, so people want to remember your last 15 seconds. So
Frankie Edgar, and even with the betting lines, my friends, Frankie Edgar was the slight favorite, minus 125. The comeback on José Aldo was plus 105 this fight, which is kind of surprising.
So this is for the interim title?
Yeah.
Interim belt. Conor is the champion, is the featherweight champion.
If Frankie had won, the general idea was that Conor would have stuck around at 45 to fight Frankie, because he never went back to 45 after knocking out Aldo.
Yep. Look at all the young babyface media members.
John Morgan looking the same as ever.
Kevin Iole back there. And here we go. We got a fight here.
That Matt, what were they thinking? What was?
Oh, it's so.
What color do you think UFC 300 will be?
Red, white, and blue.
No, it's just going to be just red, like his best friend.
Instead of the monster logo, it's just a picture of Trump in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh man, what were the prelims on the same mat, or did they change it for the
Yeah.
main card?
No, it's all on the
Okay,
same
so
page.
okay, so it wasn't like it wasn't a surprise. Okay,
The viewership. Let me see what the viewership was for this, because this is the Fox era, so it'd be like early prelims would be on like
FS1.
Fox Sports 2 or FS1.
No, the prelims were on Fight Pass, and then it went Fight Pass, FS1, pay-per-view.
What are the numbers here?
or is this back in the time we had to go to 3 different formats to watch one card? Yeah,
and sometimes you'd even have to go to remember the Facebook prelims.
True TV was it? True TV?
Fuel TV. Fuel TV was the.
There was another one for a little bit. It was like it was a weird station. They only had for a couple events.
Versus.
No, it wasn't Versus. It was like for the prelims. It was like this. I can't remember. If someone can tell me, not True TV, but it was like some. It was on TV, but like some weird network. I don't know. It's free. I don't know. It's one of those. It's like Tubi now is like a Tubi version of network TV.
So the early prelims are on Fight Pass. They also aired on FS2. And then FS1 prelims, they did on average 1.79 million viewers, peaking at over 2 million. It's fucking massive numbers, man. Especially like today. If the UFC could post a $2 million rating for a prelim, it's pretty damn good. I'm sure they'd be very happy with that. Just Frankie throwing those awesome combos. Pre-fight promo said, we'll face the winner when Conor returns to 145.
Yeah, okay.
Let me know.
Okay, dude. Okay.
Big if true.
I'm waiting to see,
Big if true.
I'm waiting to see Conor like standing around because he does like kind of just linger over this entire fight.
So remind me again. So Conor, was this just contract reasons he was out of this fight?
He just didn't want to. He didn't want to play the game. Well, I think because remember 190s, was it 194? They had that big world tour for 189, and then he fought Aldo again, and they had that commercial where they had to shut down the strip and everything. I think he was just burnt out. This is the beginning of Conor just being like, enough. Like, I've done my share.
And then Conor Nate wound up being at 202, correct?
Yeah.
Yep. They announced that at 199.
So in an interim belt, not based on an injury, but just based on he's doing other things. Money.
They make more money with the Diaz rematch.
Yeah, essentially money, but it's just not injury related.
Because I believe they had reached out to Frankie to fill in at 196, and Frankie wasn't healthy.
Oh, can you?
And then Nate
Mike,
Diaz stepped up.
So people maybe catch up.
Where should I watch along? You can watch in multiple places. You go to Fight Pass, you can go to ESPN Plus, or the easiest thing to do, you can go to MMAfighting.com. Just click on the UFC 200 Watch Party post. We have the embed of the YouTube link down the bottom. And if you want to go ahead and click on that, right now it's at 3 hours, 5 minutes, 54 seconds, 55, 56, 57, and counting. And you can see where we're at with the countdown, with the little ticker on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. So there you go, MMAfighting.com. That mat is so... Oh, damn. Yeah. José's.
Yep, you know what happened 2 days after this?
Yes.
Mike? Yeah, you know what happened. Okay, so what happened 2 days after this?
No, tell me.
Zuffa announced the sale to WME.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this is the last ever Zuffa card as well.
This is this is like one of the big times when when Dana White says something's not happening, it's happening. Yeah, because he kept denying the sale was happening, and everybody kind of already knew there was some things in the works. And then it got, oh no, we're not selling. And then 2 days later, it was sold for $4 billion. Ooh, flying knee! Damn!
Oi! Oi! Oh, I remember that one.
Okay,
that
was so good.
Yeah, Frankie's just got a chin on him.
Do you remember what the next event after this was, Mike?
I do.
Is it Lawler?
No.
Woodley?
Well, no, the exact event, not the next pay-per-view.
Oh.
Oh, God.
It was not great.
I don't remember the next event actually. I remember the next pay-per-view.
I remember the next event. It was John Lineker, Michael McDonald, and Sioux Falls. Co-main event, Tony Ferguson, Lando Venata.
Oh,
That's right.
Yeah. It's supposed to be Michael
That was
Chiesa. And I remember so little media went. I didn't go, but I've been told by this guy.
Sorry, that replay they're showing of Frankie throwing that kick and then on that sprawl. Oh my god.
Yeah. José Aldo's unbelievable.
That was unreal athleticism. Unreal.
Yeah. For the open work, they did this is when they were doing open workouts for everything, like every event. They did an open workout, and I know Fernanda, who at the time was with Junkie, like was in America to do José Aldo stuff, and there was a lot of Brazilians. So she went to Sioux Falls with John Morgan, and they were the only two people that showed up for the open workouts because they didn't Sioux Falls people didn't want it, they didn't need it. So Tony Ferguson shows up with his boombox. And they're like, you don't have to do this. And he's just like, nah, we're good. And just did an hour and 10-minute open workout.
You just had
for John Morgan. For He just had a full workout.
Yeah.
With his boombox while two media members watched.
Wow.
I personally love that stuff. I love seeing real workouts from high level fighters. But
I love open workouts.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah.
Thank you, Giovanni. Jose deserved the Conor rematch. In my opinion, he probably would have won.
See, you used the word deserved. What are you doing? Giovanni? There's no such thing. Of course he deserves it. Of course. It's ridiculous to think he didn't deserve it. Yeah. Man, that is such a bummer. The more I kind of forgot about that we never got a rematch just because Conor wanted to be Conor. But man.
And Bucks Conor's attitude around Jose for 2 or 3 years after that was why would I fight him again? Just I could never do it better than I just did it. So,
hey,
and then he
even Dan Henderson rematch Mike Bisping.
Well, it's for the belt though.
Oh,
With him, it has the challenger. Yeah, that time. Yeah, but
also neither of those two men cut as much weight as Conor had to cut to get to 145.
That's true. Conor was always death.
Yeah.
So Conor never weighed that light again after he fought Aldo.
Nope.
Never.
No, he did not.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Giovanni.
Keep him coming. Just high level shit right here. This canvas color really is disgusting. It's so bad.
It's worse. It's even worse than I remember, to be honest. But now that
it really is.
I just wish I was there, and get Dana White's true thoughts when they put the mat out, because they thought it was an awesome idea. They didn't do this because this is gonna look horrible. They're this is gonna look so cool, and they rolled it out. They're like,
too late now.
Too late now. Yeah, I'm just shocked that they didn't test it and go, nope, we're not doing this. But no, they wouldn't have it. Yeah.
Hey, it's memorable.
It is memorable. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I wish the UFC had more creative canvases to maybe when they go to, I don't know, some Atlantic City camp. Atlantic City might be a bad example, but
no, it's too many. You'd have to have syringes laying everywhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's a bad example. But I mean, when they go to Rio, something
Yeah.
that you as soon as you see any clip from it, the event. But I think the UFC, they want to be like McDonald's, and it doesn't matter where you're at in the world. It's any UFC event, and this is the one event where you do know the event, you do know the time and place of it, and you can't say that for any other time in the UFC. Now you have to kind of look at their outfits. I mean, their fight kits to kind of give you a general kind of place and time. This
fight card marks 1 year into the Reebok era.
Frankie.
Oh.
God, I wish we got Frank Edgar, Dom Cruz, or Aldo, Dom Cruz.
Yeah.
It is kind of weird we never got Frankie Dom Cruz. That was the fight.
Nope.
That was
all of those combinations of fights I wanted.
Yeah, we don't right now. We could have Aldo Cruz in a couple of weeks or whatever, not a couple of weeks, but in a month or so. But we're not getting it.
Instead, we got Frankie Edgar, Chris Gutierrez at Madison Square Garden.
Whatever.
Yeah, I know. UFC. What are you
Chris
gonna do?
Gutierrez won fair and square.
Oh, he won fair and square. Just
And
I like
obviously
Chris.
became a superstar that the UFC pushed, right?
They're like, hey, now you get to fight Pedro Munoz, and tough fight. Then you got a main event after that, so
Yeah, he did.
at the world's most famous Apex. If you guys didn't know, the world's most famous Apex, April 27th, has a new main event. Minel Kopp out. And now Mateus Nicolau fighting Alex Perez in the main event of.
We don't know what happened though, right?
Nah, let me see if Cap posted anything on social yet. He's usually very good at that. They kind of keeping people up to date. Let's see. It doesn't seem like he posted anything. Nope.
did he announce
Yeah,
it?
see if I can
UFC?
get-
Oh no, sorry. You got a new card
UFC.
already.
Yep.
I mean, a new fight. So UFC announced it. Sorry. The great Mark Henry.
I'll try to get an answer for you guys on regards to Minel Kopp.
We got a super chat from
Such a good
May.
fight.
All right, I'm up. Mayhew. Why are you super chatting that? All right, real quick. No, wait. I can't answer.
Put it
that.
up.
That's all right. I'm putting it up, but I don't like it.
Oh,
MFK, Dana Chelsea.
I would. MFK stands for.
Yeah.
I know what it stands for. Stands for McDonald's,
McDonald's.
Friendlies, or
Friendlies.
KFC.
Kentucky.
So I would take Dana to McDonald's. I would probably take Chatri to KFC because I don't think he's ever been. And dude, Scott Coker would have so much fun at Friendlies. You get the Clown Sunday. Come on, man.
Yeah.
That's easy question. Why would you not want to put that up?
Apologies. Thank you.
Dana thinks McDonald's is like fine dining. So like obviously we're gonna do that.
That was before you met Gary Brecka, though.
That's
Now it's a whole
true.
different day.
Oh, now he's a big Hardee's boy.
Minel Kopp injury, I'm told.
Injury?
I'm told he tried to push through it, but it got pretty bad. So
Remember.
there you go. Unfortunate.
Yes.
Oh, Frankie, nice little entry there.
Frankie's so good. Frankie's
Defense is so good.
dude. Remember when Frankie first got his first fight against José Aldo? I think it was UFC 156 or something like that. I think who was José Aldo's original opponent? Was it Eric Koch? Like way back in the day.
Wow, that's a great question. I have to look that up. I got to cheat for that one. Let's see. Let's go back in the day.
I think it was supposed to be 153. Because I think Eric Koch was supposed to fight him on the Rio card, and that's why it is because that's why Anderson fought Stephan Bonner. Now I remember.
Okay, so he was booked with Eric Koch twice.
Yeah, 153 and then 156, right?
149, 153.
And then
Aldo
156
got
was the Frankie
injured
fight.
the first time. Koch got injured the second time. Actually, yeah. And then it was something. Yeah, Koch got injured, and then Aldo got injured when they booked him with Frankie, and then they rebooked Frankie for 156
Yeah.
for the belt. Yeah.
Oh, Jose, people have some questions.
What the heck is Friendlies? How dare you?
Friendlies is imagine if Friendlies would be like what would Friendlies be like? Because you don't have Newport Creamers anywhere about Rhode Island. Friendlies would be like if Carvel. Oh, Friendlies would be like if Baskin Robbins and like Applebee's combined. So you could get like Baskin Robbins ice cream, but like Applebee's food. If is that accurate? Is that a good
Is it a restaurant or you order at a counter?
It's a restaurant.
Both.
It's both.
Well, it's both, but like you sit like it's all booth seating.
Oh, I got you. Order at a counter and then you sit at a booth. All right.
Yeah, but it's like you can get like a burger, fries, and like and then like a sundae. So
What did you
obviously,
say?
I mean,
Wait, Mr. Heck, you say you used to work there?
Oh yeah.
What?
yeah,
Oh yeah.
Friendlies is a big thing in New England.
So I always wanted to like make my own money. So I would like when sports season wasn't going on, and even like at some points during sports season. So I played football and baseball. I would always work the winters at Friendlies. I would work like weekends at Friendlies.
Oh no, that's funny.
I worked every time Easter rolls around. I always the one of the first things that pops into my head was I worked an Easter Sunday at Friendlies when I was like 16,
God.
and nobody showed up but me and the manager. So I had to wait on all the friggin' tables the whole time. And I was
about
dead.
to say it's friend. It's
I made
FR.
so much money.
I was about to
so
correct
much
this guy.
money that day.
It's FRIENDLY''S, as in friendly owns the building. Come on, dog.
Best Shirley Temples. Best Shirley Temples.
That's
They had
true.
good chicken quesadillas.
They did.
It was a good time. They
had this monstrosity. Casey, you would like this. Well, I don't know. Casey might not like. Well, no, you're from the South. You would like this.
I like
It's a double bacon. It's a bacon cheeseburger, but instead of hamburger buns, it's full on grilled cheese sandwiches.
Oh yeah.
Wait, so a grilled cheese sandwich?
So it's
like two grilled cheese sandwiches has the bun?
No,
Like
it's a grilled cheese. It's a full sandwich, like 2 buns with a slice of cheese, and then the lettuce, tomato, bacon, everything, and then another grilled cheese sandwich underneath it, put together.
Oh yeah.
I wish I didn't give a crap about my health. I wish I wish.
It is
the fribble.
That's right. Oh man, yeah. So obviously, so now that you have all the information, it makes sense that I would take Scott Coker to Friendlies because it would just be a treat.
Look at.
Oh no, it's all good.
You're welcome.
It's all good.
Giovanni Perez is yelling at us now.
Apology accepted.
Don't yell.
Don't yell.
I don't know if there's any actual Friendlies left.
There's a friend. There was one right, like maybe a 5-minute drive from my house in Rhode Island.
So there was one, the last one in Boston closed. All right, so there's 26 Friendlies left in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm. There's no more in Rhode Island, I imagine.
I'm not sure, but they just whatever one was left in Boston, it closed. It was at the airport.
Mm-hmm.
But the one I used to work at no longer exists. It's a Wendy's now.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
I used to also work back in the day when I was like 17. I would work Friendlies during the day, and then like Saturday nights I would work at a place called Bickford's, and it was a 24-hour breakfast spot, which was like right next to Friendlies. Oh my god!
I know it well.
We used to make so much money those nights, but you had to deal with like, those videos you watch about like Waffle House fights. That's what that's what freaking Bickford's was like.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was a shit show. Oh,
we had
a shit show.
We had a few in Rhode Island, but it was cafeteria style restaurants.
Oh really?
Yeah, in Rhode Island.
Oh, Bickford's,
which is great too.
So bad. People just come in all smashed and
The one in Rhode Island is now an IHOP. I know, or the one near my house in Rhode Island. Anyway,
Brown Forest fights really good. Shirley Temples at Friendlies were the best. I live in Rhode Island. There you go.
So I'm saying, the
man's yelling it too. He's yelling at us. They're so
because
good.
people in Rhode Island are used to not being noticed, so we have to scream at people.
I got to tell you, of all the things I expected to talk about during this watch party, Friendlies was not.
That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for,
so
dog.
Excited about that.
That's what I'm here for. So I take it back. Great question.
Tremendous question.
FK.
Glad we put a spin on it. They have gold gloves.
That's
on?
right. I think the UFC is. I don't know if the UFC is gold. Is it? Yeah, it could be.
It is.
That's cool.
Definitely is.
I like that.
Good call, Cole.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so clearly they didn't want the matte that color. They thought it would become. I think they really thought it would come out that color, but somehow.
Yeah.
Because if you made it any shinier, it'd be like impossible to move around.
Yeah.
Somewhere in my storage, I have a UFC 200 poster with Jon Jones on it. It's like the original poster. Yeah.
That poster
is great.
That was all. it was a great concept, but
Yeah.
was it all like CGI? Was it all
I
like
don't know.
Photoshop? Because everything was shot from this down. I mean, it was cool, but like
Yeah.
I don't think they did a specific weird photo shoot just like for that.
No, I think it was all photoshopped.
Photoshop. I remember it looked good, but then we kind of look at it close. I was like, ooh, but obviously, I love the concept. The concept looked like a big event, and even though it was photoshopped, I still definitely like the ambition of it.
Yes.
Unlike the UFC 300, let's just not go there. So we got round 4 was I guess Aldo's kind of just competitive fight, but Aldo's just clearly just
UFC 2
better.
UFC 200 also had the posters with the faces with like their graffiti writing on it, right? For like the individual matchups.
Yeah.
So it'd have like DC and John, but then it would say like
Yes.
I'm the champion and like all scribbly on him. And
Was
then
that this
John would
event
have
too?
I think so because I know they did Miesha and Amanda. I know that.
It was this event.
And
okay,
I know
yeah.
they did Brock. I know they did Brock and Mark Hunt, so I'm assuming that's this one.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I remember people doing fake ones, and they were really funny, but I can't remember
Yes.
them.
That's right.
I remember.
That's
The best one I saw is they did a fake one for Mike Goldberg and Rogan, and because like they have like one of their big quotes on their foreheads in giant letters. Mike Goldberg's face just corn nuts across his forehead, which I thought was fantastic. And then they had one with John, and it just said, "Hey, pussy, you still there?" on his forehead, which I thought was very funny too.
Oh, Aldo just so good. Beautiful
Hey,
Jeff.
pussy's
Frankie's
still there.
having a real
Jeez.
hard time even getting near him now.
No, José Aldo's. I'm not going to argue if you say José Aldo is one of the 5 most talented fighters ever, but he's so good.
Yeah. I mean, I have no issue with that.
I'm not talking great. Oh my god,
That's
this head move.
You saw that slip in that move. Yeah.
Is electric, dude.
A quick left, right on that bloody eye. Aldo's just feeling himself now.
And I remember, and I like Dwayne Finley. He used to cover MMA, and he was like, I remember because he was friends with Frankie. He was like 5-0 Frankie, 5-0 Frankie. I'm like, are you crazy?
Are you watching this fight like live?
Yeah, like in the media room. He's like, it's 5-0. I'm like, are you nuts? And everyone in the media room was like, get out of here,
Bro.
Because this was an event where, since this was the first one, they still kind of work. Oh my god!
Sorry.
This is when he jumps in the air and hooks him right near the end.
I think that already happened, but
Did it already happen?
Yeah,
That's like the famous
but-
highlight. Or does he bounce off the cage in this one?
I don't know.
5-0 Frankie. That's hilarious.
Jeez.
Frankie just battling through it.
All right, going to round 5.
Yeah, poor Frankie.
Fought his ass off, but just caught Aldo on a really, really good day.
Aldo wanted that rematch.
Yeah. Did they even? I don't even think they've shown Conor.
No, they
Not at
haven't.
all. Not at all. Which is very odd because, but
He's definitely there. I see him. Like I've seen him, but he's not he wasn't standing and hovering over. He was sitting with D in the crowd, but I think it's probably in this round or right after like the fight ends or something, and Aldo's talking to Rogan or something where he starts to stand. But round 5, oh, God, that canvas is so terrible.
yeah, it's worse than I
can't
remember.
stop looking at it now. It's just the overhead shots where I truly notice it.
All right.
And a glove touch. There you go. Lots of respect between these two gentlemen. Oh, brutal leg kick.
Yeah, start out. Just chop your leg.
Aldo's Aldo's done more leg kicks in this fight than he has in like his last 4 fights combined.
Yep.
It's wild how this entire fight, for I would say of 95% of the fight, Aldo's been moving backwards successfully. Like normally,
I'll hurt
you
him.
hear that, you can't move backwards in a fight, and win. But like, man, he's against Frankie, it works.
He figured because he had Frankie figured out by like halfway through the second round, so he
Yeah.
can move
Yeah.
like that, and Frankie would charge in. He would just counter so quick. Oh
Oh,
man,
okay.
Frankie's left hook was so nasty. Jeez, Frankie's so friggin' tough, man. Aldo's hit him with some big ones in this fight, and didn't even. He just walks right through him. He's so fucking tough.
I mean, Frankie's trying to cut him off. He just that big cage, if it's
It's that big cage.
a big cage. It's hard to corner people in this big cage. Boom, changes direction.
Is that a one of the corner turnbuckle posts have an advertisement for the show Kingdom? I didn't realize that was the 2016 show. Kingdom is great, by the way.
It was just on the wrong. It was on the wrong network. Whatever network.
I
it was on.
I never watched it.
Oh, I can't remember.
Really,
It was a good show. Man, I went to the set. I got to see the set. The set was amazing.
Really?
It was like, yeah. They did like a media day because we got to interview a few of the stars. I was there with Greg Jackson and Joe Stevenson were there, and they gave me a tour of the set. The set was laid out or inspired by Greg Jackson's gym in Albuquerque, too, and he was like the main consultant on the show.
Oh, I'm kidding. Yeah, I know. I remember Joe Stevenson was on.
Joe Stevens was kind of there day to day, and Greg was more kind of the consultant. Kind of comes in once a month type of guy.
Yeah, it's a good show.
Yeah, but
Good show.
wrong network.
Yeah. But now it's streaming, so I think it's on Peacock now. But it's really good. Jonathan Tucker is
He stole the
tremendous.
show. He was a star. He became a star in that show. I felt.
New England's own Jonathan Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
Frankie is a mess, dude.
He
Just
always
getting
looks like this.
around.
I like this oops. Let me hold on. Wrong screen with the screen.
The FE Iron Periodical Table symbol Frankie Edgar T-shirt was one of the most fitting MMA shirts in this. That is a great call.
It was a good idea, but it just didn't look right. But it was funny. But
I've talked with John Anik because John Anik wants to get another UFC themes tattoo, and he wants to get that FE. And we've just been trying to figure out a place and time to go. I was gonna take him to get it in Sydney, but we just never got the time.
Well, Vegas.
When did Anik come on the booth?
His tryout, it wasn't on the air, but he did a rehearsal type thing. So basically he was a broadcast person for only the Fertitas heard him, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was a fake setup. I think his first event he did was Shogun Henderson in San Jose.
Oh wow, he did. So wow.
I think I could be making that up, but
Yeah,
that information lives somewhere in my head for some reason.
Let's see. In 2011, Dana White announced during a press conference that Jon Anik would be joining the UFC. Anik made his commentary debut during the international broadcast of UFC on FX, Melvin Gillard versus Miller.
Mm-hmm.
He was the lead play-by-play announcer for some FX and Fuel TV fights with color commentator and former UFC fighter Kenny Florian.
Yeah. But I think his rehearsal run was because I think there's been a few fighters that I'm not going to say because I don't know if they got the jobs or not, but that has happened recently.
Frankie's going for it though. He just threw a spinning heel kick. He just threw a big overhand. And then José's just moving backwards. Man,
okay, so I'm going to slack you.
Oh, jeez.
I'm going to slack you. This has no relation to Frankie Edgar, but I'm going to slack you a photo. Don't ask me how I found this photo, but I knew it existed, and I knew immediately where to find it, and I'm sending it to you because I took this photo, and this is what I was talking about.
Let me change it.
Man, Aldo looks so good. Blink.
So up next we have looks like DC and Anderson Silva will be up next.
Yeah.
Yep.
Craig
God, look at
knows
Dana
all
White.
busted.
So different back then.
Let me see what Dana.
Fertitta's back there, Lorenzo.
Oh yeah. Would this be the last event we will see Lorenzo in the cage?
In the cage, probably. But
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he's been at events, but
José Aldo doesn't even look like he was in a fight.
no, not at all.
I missed the old belts. I like.
He
I
is
still
talking
like
And
the
look,
about
now
Conor
he's
belts.
going over to Connor.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, he's saying no problem. I'm just like, yeah, all right. even then, I'm like, it's not happening.
We just knew
He's
it.
not
We
fighting
knew it.
him.
Yeah.
All right, let me look
He's
at
not
that photo
fighting
real
him.
quick.
I'm intrigued by this photo. It's a very intense José Aldo.
That sandwich is unreal, Jose.
Sure is. Look at the price, too.
Oh, did you send him a picture of the friendly sandwich?
Yeah.
What was it called? I don't remember.
It was called an any burger melt.
Ah, that's right.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Hey, what's that guy's name? The translator? I forgot his name.
He was
I
in
talked to
Miami.
him. Yeah, he's still doing. He still works for the UFC or whatever.
Yeah,
He's still at
but
events.
the only thing is now it's Fabiano lives in Vegas, so obviously he does all the Vegas cards, and then Fabiano is just as fluent in Spanish as he is in Portuguese.
Yeah.
So when there's Spanish, like when there's a lot of Mexicans or there's a lot of like Ecuadorians and everything, that he does that. But I can't remember his name. This individual, who I will find out in a second, he is completely fluent in French too. So he was in Miami for Benoit Saint Denis, just in case, and like that team. So they're trying to, obviously the UFC's not going to send two translators if one of them can do the job.
Oh, you have people coming over? Wait, sorry. We have a
Everybody wants to
special.
watch UFC 200.
Oh, not yet. Oh, okay. We have
Who
a
is
special
it?
a certain ESPN's, which is a Connecticut sports blog. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I heard it's
football.
like a month. It's like a bi-monthly newsletter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait,
yes. Cover all the
they,
sports, right?
Yeah. They have a football reporter.
Is it Michael David Smith?
Yeah. Dude, I haven't heard that name in a while.
Dude, I haven't heard of that. Man, that's so funny. Mike, do you know who that is, Mike?
Michael Davis.
I remember the name. That is,
Wow,
Jesus
man,
Christ.
blast from the past.
Oh wait, look!
Another-
Wait, look at
There
the
you
broadcast.
go.
Look at the broadcast.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. I see it right now.
Let's watch this. actually.
Oh,
I don't think I ever saw this.
DC and Jones.
That translator's name is Derek, by the way.
There.
Remember this? Remember
Yeah,
that
I
face
do.
to face with
Sure
Joe
do.
Rogan? That was awesome. That was amazing. The promos, the build to this fight was unbelievable. And then this happened. There's Jeff Nowitzki. There's Dana just looking so fucking mad.
I just don't.
Oh, there it is. There's the moment.
So stomp your feet. Here, the foot stomp. Yeah, the
Yeah.
foot stomp. The double foot stomp. I remember that. Wow, that hallway. I know that hallway.
Oh man, I remember like my heart just freaking shattered for the man. That Dave Schaller walked with him.
Dave
Oh, wow.
Schaller.
Shout out to Dave.
Dave Schaller did at this event. Dave Schaller apologized to me on behalf of the UFC. On behalf of the UFC for the UFC 199 incident.
Yeah. I felt I got a
Anderson.
new level of I had a new level of respect for Dave when after the 199 incident, Dana obviously left right away after the press conference, and Dave stayed and answered all the questions for everyone. All the media was like, after the event, everyone was obviously talking about the fight, but we all wanted to know what happened to you guys. Yeah. And Dave sat there and answered every question he could. Just took it all. I was like, good Lord.
Wow.
I also remember during that, Danny Austin, for whatever reason, I think Danny got the first question because he just happened to sit down. And I remember, because I'm super good friends with Danny, like, he knew the magnitude of, like, he has to ask, but he just was not ready for that moment. Because like, Jon always gets the first question, and Danny just froze. And he'll even admit that.
That's all right, Danny.
Now he's just a big-time Calgary Stampeder and Calgary Flames reporter. I love Danny.
Yeah. I met him once in Boston. I think it's 220.
He still has my Purity Ring T-shirt, though. Never gave it back. Bastard.
Oh, man.
Literally.
Yeah, I remember all the UFC 199 stuff, and I remember I remember finding out Ariel's report about the Brock Lesnar thing on my way to my buddy's apartment to watch 199. And I showed up to his apartment, and I was like, dude, you'll never guess what I just read from Ariel Helwani. Brock Lesnar's fighting UFC 200. And he was like, no, it's not true. That can't be true. I'm like, well, Ariel's reporting it, so it's probably true. And I was like, he also said that Nate and Conor are fighting at 202. So he didn't believe me anything. Even he was like, no way Brock Lesnar's coming back. And then he started to, like, maybe get an inkling of belief when Nate Diaz got announced in front of the crowd when they officially announced the fight with Conor, and he got up and got the standing ovation. He was doing the double overhead bicep pose. And then they played the Brock promo, and he was like, I remember he said specifically, I will never doubt that man again, ever again. Anything Ariel reports is gospel to him from that moment on once he saw that promo. And that was a freaking wild card. Have you ever watched UFC 199, Casey?
No. Wait, before that, hold on. We have...
It's the iconic voice.
It's the iconic voice coming in.
Well, tell me he's in the suitcase.
That would be very funny. Wendy!
Oh,
Wendy's here?
ESPN football blogger. Football blog. Football. Woo. How's the tackling going? Is that, I don't know.
Sorry, did you contact ESPN PR for me?
Yeah.
That's not Michael David Smith. You can't even hear me.
Can you say hi? So this guy is apparently going to Atlanta for some reason. So he's just saying hi. Look at this guy.
Look at this guy.
Football.
It's Mark Ramundi.
Is that Shaheen?
That's Mike Heck.
Did I just break down the fourth wall?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you did.
Shaheen's not on camera yet.
Sure did.
Okay.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us, Shaheen?
He will be here.
Look at this guy. Look at
I
this
can't hear
guy.
anybody
Oh, he
but
is
Casey,
here.
and that's very unfortunate.
We can hear Shaheen. You can talk, Shaheen. We're not on camera yet.
Look at this
Who's
guy.
watching this?
What's going on, my guy?
Just you. This is just for you. This is a watch party. This is a watch party of you. This isn't. We're not.
The Mark Ramundi watch.
Oh, Anderson.
Yeah. Have you heard of him?
Dude.
Yeah.
I
was at this card.
This guy.
Yeah,
he was.
Mark and I were.
You're MMA fighting.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh yeah. This guy used to work for MMA fighting.
Yeah, a couple times.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Mark
and I-
show. I don't want to interrupt Anderson versus DC.
Yeah. Good job. Don't spoil it. All right.
So Wendy, we say hi.
See you in a bit.
Wow. I mean, you never know who's going to show up at these watch parties. You never know.
All right.
Go
I'm
back in
gonna
time.
switch out real quick and.
I hear my bald brother, and now I see him.
What's up,
Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Shaun Al-Shatti. How we doing, my friend?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you guys doing?
Life's a
Doing
blessing.
great. We're having a good time. We're giggling away. We're telling tales. And I'm glad you're here, Shaheen, because we talked about some things. We talked about, because we just saw the promo leading up to DC versus Anderson Silva because of all the craziness that happened throughout the week. You were there, Shaheen. You were in Las Vegas for this event. Describe this fight week, because we talked about all of this happening. And on top of that, there are two other events besides UFC 200 happening this week, including a fight night that was headlined by a lightweight title fight, and all this other stuff happening. How would you describe this fight week? Would this be the craziest fight week you've ever covered?
By far. It's not even like, well, craziest.
223 is pretty crazy. 223 is pretty wild.
223.
That was the Dolly incident and everything. Oh, you weren't on site though for that one, right?
I wasn't there for that one.
Okay,
but I
that was pretty
like
wild.
Kimbo Dada might be the craziest fight week I've ever covered, just because that was a circus.
Sure,
but like UFC fight weeks, yeah, this is easy, man. This is easy. Casey, were you in the hotel room with Mark, Ariel, and I when we found out the Jon Jones thing?
He's muted.
I think you're muted.
You're muted, Casey.
It's almost funny.
Sorry.
Him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew there was someone else there. It was you, Shaheen. Yeah, we were about to go to dinner or something, right? Like it was like we were done.
No.
Oh, we were about to shoot a post show.
Done.
What were we about to do?
No,
like,
so we at that point in the time in the lifespan of MMA fighting, they really wanted us to do like Facebook Live Q&As.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Fight weeks. And so like we were in the middle of like setting up to go live on Facebook when of all people, Chael Sonnen hits us up and it's like, hey guys, maybe hold off on going live for a second. You might look really dumb if you do. And then like we had to sprint down there and there's like UFCR people coming from spin class and like plyometrics and whatever, like in their workout uniforms, just everybody's in a tizzy. What a weird week, man.
Yeah, because I remember, we found out by complete chance. Like, if we didn't get that text message from Chell to Ariel, we would have been just talking online, like, hey, can Miesha Tate beat Amanda Nunes? And then, like, people would have been like, hey, why aren't you guys at the...
We would have completely missed it.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
at that point, too, that's right after 199 incident with everybody. And, like, they didn't like us.
Yeah,
like, the UFC
we didn't get a call. We didn't get a call to come down there.
That's what I was saying. I didn't get a call. Someone texted us to save. I can't remember who, because I was with Danny Austin, and someone goes, "Can you save me a spot at the Jon Jones press conference?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" So then that's how we found out. Is someone else had told us, and then we just showed up, and they let us in.
Were you at Fansided at that point?
No, I was at I was at the MMAcorner.com, which no longer exists, and because of my UFC 200 coverage, I got to Fansided.
Okay. Yeah, we got zero notification whatsoever from UFC. So thank God for Chael Sonnen. Otherwise, we would have looked like complete idiots.
Wow. That was an interesting wrinkle to the story. Chael P saving the day. It's not ready for that.
Yeah.
What a weird time that was, too. Those were so much fun, man. Just running downstairs to the MGM Grand. Like, I miss that place so much.
So do I.
Yep.
Studio A and B is 10 times better than the tent.
Oh, God. So many good times in there.
Now we're gonna get.
Where are we at on the timing here? Let me load up this.
Buffer is
on
now
YouTube,
introducing. Yeah, you want to tell?
Anderson Silva, 3 hours 46 minutes, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All right, give me 1 second.
Freaking Anderson Silva, what a gangster! Just go right to MMAfighting.com. It's a fantastic website, Shaheen.
Great website.
You can go right to the bottom of the
Great
post
website.
and watch right there. It's a great website. It was a great website at UFC 200. It's a great website now. It's, it maybe pales in comparison to Jose Young's MMA.com, but still.
That's right.
Very good
That's
website.
Right. That's what you missed that part, Shaun. Someone asked me where I was at UFC 100, and I was writing a blog called Jose Young's MMA.com.
Is that true?
About UFC. That's 100% true. Obviously doesn't exist anymore. I was like 17, 18 at the time. I was in my cousin's basement in El Paso.
You were in on it that early?
Oh yeah, I was like super into it.
Look at DC's mean face. To,
Yeah.
That's tremendous.
and like I was telling them, my cousins are all like actual like collegiate and high school wrestlers, so they were really hyped on Brock Lesnar fighting Frank Mir. Brock Lesnar, the NCAA national champion, not Brock
So
Lesnar,
Shaheen,
the WWE superstar.
The fight is about to start, Shaheen. So I'm gonna.
Yeah, they're showing Anderson right now.
You give me a timestamp.
Boom. Fight. Okay. Well, I'm starting the fight. I'm starting the clock on my fight.
347.
Okay.
347.28. Yep. There
Yeah.
There you go. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Big John
short.
McCarthy in the
Oh, he's back. It wasn't at UFC 100. Now he's at 200.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Because Keith Kaiser hated him. God, this brings me back. The golden era of MMA.
It really was, man. I know we sound
my
like the
God.
old folks home when we say that, but like, it just felt different, man.
It did. It did.
God, all of these names that are no longer in like the game, like they just showed Dave Schaller, and I was like, man, on the screen, I was like, this is just—it's all just blast from the past. This is Shaun. This is the last.
Legend, Dave Schaller. This
This is the last Zuffa card. They sold it to WME 2 days after this.
I very much remember it. We had like this night obviously went really extremely long, right? Because it's just such a big event, and then you have the post-fight presser, and then the post-show, and all the news afterwards. At that point in time, NBA Summer League was like starting up the next day. So I ended up staying the whole like next day. I was going to drive home at night because I was such an NBA guy. And so me and I won't say his name, but a member of UFC PR who's no longer there went to the NBA Summer League. And so I was sitting next to this guy the whole time. And we're just enjoying the game. And then all of a sudden, just like halfway through, he looks down at his phone. He turns as white as a ghost. He gets like the craziest expression on his face. And he turns towards me. He's like, hey, man, this has been really fun, but I got to go. And I was like, oh, dude, is everything okay? He's like, yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go right now. And he like ran out of there like his butt was on fire. And then like 10 minutes later, found out about the sale, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense now.
Makes sense now.
This is 2016, right? So you're gonna go get a look at a tall Dragan Bender. Is that who the rookie you guys drafted that year was?
Dude, it was Dragan Bender and Marquise Chris both.
Oh,
and I was so hyped for it, and then they were so lacking in that game, and I went back
so
home and I was like, guys, I don't know about these picks. They were really bad.
So did DC doing DC things right now to Anderson Silva?
Coming to this fight, did anyone seriously think Anderson was going to win? I guess not on his back, obviously, once he gets taken down. But what was your excitement level coming into this? Like,
I was
the
excited.
actual fight, not you were.
I was excited.
Sure. I guess
I'm an Anderson mark.
Yeah,
like Anderson's my favorite fighter of all time. Like I'm excited, especially at this point. He wasn't really washed yet. Like he had lost a couple, but he was
at this point in time, he had never lost at light heavyweight. He was undefeated at 205.
Yeah. Who did he lose to at 85 outside of Weidman at this point? Was it only Weidman, or am I forgetting something?
Yeah. So he lost to Weidman, and then he had the thing with Nate Diaz that's a no contest, and then he had the Michael Bisping fight where he almost won.
Oh, the Bisping fight. Okay, the Bisping fight. Okay, the Bisping fight.
Yeah, but also you got to remember he's coming into this fight like fresh off a surgery or something. Like he had just been like cut open or something. I can't remember exactly.
He weighed in at like 197 or something like that. He just showed up.
Yeah.
This is also kind of the genesis. This is also kind of the genesis of fans just constantly booing DC because they love Anderson and they just hated this fight.
Oh yeah. Oh, I wonder what Cowboy Cerrone had to say about this fight.
Yeah.
Y'all remember?
I don't want to get us demonetized.
Nope. Yeah, that was almost the beginning of. Remember, that was the time where you got in trouble for saying things like that.
Yeah.
You know, that's a great point, though. That's really funny because I hadn't considered it in that spectrum. But you're 100% right that like this whole week was ruined by Jon Jones, and like very publicly ruined by Jon Jones. But like yet DC came out of this week a bigger villain for the fans because he dared to take down Anderson Silva and take the easy way in this fight rather than like kickbox with the greatest striker of all time.
And this ain't easy. First of all, because Chael Sonnen couldn't do this. You know what I mean? Like and actually win. You know. I mean, like, no, this is still impressive. It's just Anderson. Remember that the lockdown, and like he just that leg was locked down, and and DC just cannot get out of that half guard. And he didn't train for this either. DC didn't train for this guy.
No. DC trained for a 5-round fight against a 6'4" complete MMA fighter.
Yeah.
Gegard tried to get this fight.
Yeah, I remember that. You're right.
Crazy
I remember.
time.
You're right.
Golden era of MMA. I'm gonna keep saying that.
I'm with it, man. I'm with you.
It's the best year in the history of the sport. Like, in
Yeah,
terms of
16.
views
I agree.
and-
2016.
Oh, yeah.
I would
Not-
say 193 to 207 is the best stretch. Because 193 started with
No,
the Ronda head kick, and 207 was Amanda and Ronda. So that stretch right there, everything was awesome, amazing.
I would backpedal it even further to 189 because 189 starts off. Just,
Beginning of the Reebok era. The beginning of the Reebok era. Yeah.
Well, just 189 is Conor Mendez and that whole and Rory, Robbie, and it's just from that point on until like the end of 2016. It's just
and then obviously that magical Betchko Hea fight at 190.
Dude,
That was
that
awesome.
night of that fight, everyone was covering UFC, and I was in Vegas to cover.
I was in
World Series
Vegas.
of Fighting.
I was at World Series of Fighting with the brawl outside.
Yeah.
I was
me
there.
and you, I think, were the only media in the entire sport at World Series of Fighting, and Nate Diaz and Habib Nurmagomedov
Got to fight.
down whatever casino that was,
Yeah.
and like just got in the biggest brawl in the crowd ever, and it ended up doing just as much traffic as.
Was it in
And
the
I
crowd
remember-
or was it in front of like in the kind of
It went from the crowd like into the hall. Like it just spilled out into the hall.
So
It
it
was
started
unbelievable.
in the pit right next to the cage, sort of like where the corners are. It started there, and then people ran out of the building and like spilled out into the actual public, and like just like people were getting thrown around, like Nate Diaz and his whole crew, and then Habib's whole crew just getting thrown around in public. Like
DC's getting DC it's just gotten side control, and the crowd is booing him for getting side control.
But I also remember in that brawl with Habib in the Diaz camp, Habib obviously wasn't a UFC champion at the time, and he had custom ordered a championship UFC fight kit with his name on it and was wearing it around. And I thought that was very cold. I thought it was like a cold-blooded move.
dude, Habib
was
like
cornering his-
underrated promoter of his fights.
He was cornering his team wearing a UFC championship fight kit that said Nurmagomedov on it.
God, 190. That was tough. The Correa card. Oh, that was tough.
I think that was six fights on that main card. Because they had tough Brazil. They had tough Brazil. They had Shogun, Lil Nog, I think.
Dude,
They had Big Nog and Struve.
I was down in Brazil for that event. Pretty sure it was Rio. Man, the way the Brazilian fans were cheering Ronda, it was
Oh, dude.
it was wild. I was like, oh my god! I was just like, outside of Conor, I've never seen anyone like just a random crowd just go crazy for someone, especially the demographic too, because it must have been at least 50% women, and there were just all these like young ladies and girls just like screaming for Ronda. It was
Beyonce
and they were politely applauding Betch.
Beyonce used Ronda's voice as like the opening to her.
I remember
concert.
that. Yeah.
The do nothing bitch thing. Don't be a DMB.
Which I hated, but it caught on. Because it didn't really quite make sense, but whatever. That's neither here nor there.
I got the spirit. I understood the spirit of it.
Yeah.
Dude, even right now, like if you're watching this event live, like the live chat on the replay, on the actual UFC like replay, if you're watching it in real time, is just destroying DC.
Yeah.
For
Like,
what?
Everybody
Winning.
is anti-DC for what he's doing right now.
Oh man.
What?
And then you understood why in the third round, why he fought like this, because
Yeah.
it'll Andy Silva
Kick her
almost
around
got-
the
almost
wall.
got him.
I do like DC just being like a real mensch of like, okay, guys, like if this isn't what you want, I'll kickbox a little, and then as soon as that happens, he's like, okay. That was enough.
Say, oh no, this is my brain. This is my body I have to protect. Not
He like Anderson kicked him so hard DC left the ground. Like his whole body was in the air.
I have to go. I can't wait for this third
Oh,
round.
got to stand up.
John stands him up. Wow. I forgot about that.
Yeah, see what happens. Anderson getting up slowly.
I always thought Jon was a good ref. I know he gets a lot of crap. I thought he was a good ref.
Yeah, he's a fine ref.
Yeah.
I mean, every ref messes up, you know.
Yeah. But like
he is the ref. He's the original ref. Like
now he's like a punchline because of his commentary. But like I don't know. I like Jon as a ref. I wish he never left.
Boom. Oh,
John's good, dude.
I mean,
he's a good guy.
I like the way that PFL is starting to use him sort of as like the
bring him
I forget
in for the rules and score.
Yeah, who's the NFL guy that always gets called in to be like the referee?
Wait.
Guy.
See, dude, DC, he's doing what the fans want right now. Throws the kick. He's exchanged.
Mike Pereira.
Yes, exactly. Like that's the perfect role for Big John.
He just needs a better backdrop.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Boom.
I just can't hear 7 hours of him on commentary,
Yeah.
Dude, I can't hear 7 hours commentary with anybody. And it's just, shoulder bump. All right.
We're about to get to the third round. And
it is actually wild. DC actually stood up for a good over a minute, maybe a minute and a half with Anderson. And like, I thought, like he chose to stand up with him a minute and a half. And like, yeah. Oh, my clock was low ahead. Yeah.
I mean, it's prime.
Not
it's
happy.
not prime Anderson Silva, but it's like post prime. Still kind of got it. Anderson Silva. Like, what do you want from the guy?
It's insane.
Man,
dude, imagine
also like
imagine if DC had lost this fight. Imagine that his legacy was so different. If he loses, he gets knocked out in this fight. It is. Yeah,
Well, the man went on like an insane emotional roller coaster over the previous like 48 hours. In addition to having to cut to 205 in the midst of that, which was
thank you for mentioning that. 'Cause I forgot about that. I forgot about that. Actually, yeah, an incredibly hard weight cut too.
It's so weird seeing DC as a light heavyweight.
Don't
Especially
like
after, like
never liked it.
that crazy run at heavyweight. Yeah, Jesus.
And now
I
John's
remember
a heavyweight.
we covered that. Yeah, so I remember he was at 220 in Boston when he fought Volkan Ozdemir.
That was
like
the
a
last
pretty
light
rough
heavyweight
player.
fight.
Yeah,
They always looked rough at 200. Sorry, 205.
It looked like it was going to be him and Stipe, like coming out of that event because they both fought on that card and they kind of like both sort of set the table for each other, and it worked out great. And DC became the freaking heavyweight champion.
Oof.
Like 6
Anderson's
months later.
on it now.
Oh,
Anderson's
There we
feeling
go. Here we go.
himself right
Yeah.
This is good.
I'm waiting for it. Where's that? Where is it?
Oh God, I love it.
The movement. This is. Oh yeah. This is.
boom.
This is.
And
beauty. It is.
what do you do with this? DC's just like,
Ooh,
Jesus.
Back
DC
elbow,
landed.
the Ong Bak elbow.
You're okay.
Well,
DC's like, I'm done with this, man. F this.
Oh, that's a great takedown.
And the crowd just ferociously booing.
When Anderson
DC,
started to shuffle,
so
like
unfair,
that
so
and just
unfair.
start feeling himself, it's just like there is no more magical moment in the history of MMA than when that man's on.
Dude, before I really was like really entrenched in the MMA culture and world, I remember I saw Anderson Silva versus Rich Franklin 2, and that was the first time like I was like, this is magic. I thought that was magic.
Yeah,
I was like, this
so
can't
good.
be real. Like, I don't know if you remember that fight in particular, but like, I think
100%.
I remember it.
Anderson, he was holding Frank in a clinch right here, and then he kneed him standing up in the head while they were both standing completely upright. And at that time, I was like, that's just not possible by the human body. He just did something fake. Like this is, and like, it was just, a golden era, maybe.
I'll never forget way back in the day when I was doing the first of like the Night We Face series. It was Anderson. It was called the Silva 16. And one of the first interviews I did for that was Rich. I reached out to Rich and I was like, hey man, I know you probably aren't going to want to do this, but like, I'd really love if you could speak to me for just like 20 minutes about Anderson Silva, because you're obviously an important figure in this. And credit to him, he was down to do it. But him explaining the body mechanics of how Anderson Silva would essentially use everything that he was trying to do against him, where like Anderson would bait him by leaning him one way and then pull him the other way as soon as he like resisted and just use his weight against him.
Yeah, use your own
was
momentum.
genuinely one of the it sounded like one of the most terrifying things that I had ever like heard a human being explain to me. Just the way that Rich was talking about it, almost with that like 1,000-yard prison stare of just like, I can't believe this is what my life is.
I remember Rich Franklin being stuck in that clinch, and there was a shot of his eyes going, just like he was just like so like, I don't know what to do, and like, I'm Rich Franklin. I'm one of the best, most dangerous men in the world, and I am scared right now of this man. Yeah,
dude. If you remember the conversation like before that fight, like people assumed that was going to be a walkover for Rich. Like he was the best middleweight.
Oh no way.
By far in like the in America, at least, like that was considered in like.
Well, in a lot of ways, like a lot of people saw when Brock first fought Kane. I think if you were in the know, you knew that this was going to be the Kane Velasquez night. But if you were just a casual, you know, not that bad, you know, you thought, oh, Brock Lesnar, how can you beat that guy? And then, you know, reality set in.
John,
and I think a lot of people, Oh, is this it? Is this? That's 2 stand-ups. Is this have we gotten the big kick yet?
I don't think so.
And he doesn't have that like ninja movement like he had at the beginning, but he's stalking.
Yeah.
DC's trying to stay kind of far
DC's
away,
like,
which is smart. And then he realizes how he should have kept staying far away.
Hey.
I will never not be blown away by what DC did at 205. Like the fact that this man is essentially the second greatest light heavyweight of all time in a weight class that he should have never been able to make to begin with, like just speaks to how prodigious of an athlete he was. Like
so good.
It's just unbelievable, man. And it's so weird because I think like future generations just will not understand because he's the big jovial like wheelbarrow of a man now who's just like doesn't come off as the most dangerous man in the room. And it's just like, dude, Prime DC was such a killer.
You know, but the thing is, we never got Prime DC.
No, we didn't.
I know what you're saying, but we actually never saw Prime DC. Yeah, because he got into the sport so late. Yeah.
I think it's right
when
here,
I
right?
when I
there it is.
Oh, there it is. Oh,
dude, he's throwing.
Crowd's going crazy.
Forget about it.
Standing.
Man, for as much crap as this fight got, it wasn't nearly as bad as
like, oh my god, no,
the legend is.
It's totally a good fight.
It's not a good fight. It's a high level skilled fight. Yeah, wrestler versus striker. This fight is sport.
100 billion times better than the fight we're about to get.
Oh yeah, Lesnar Hunt might be one of the most. I mean, is one of the most predictable, but at the same time disappointing fights I've ever seen.
Not great,
dude,
as you'll see.
Casey.
Yes, sir.
Casey, speaking to what you were just saying about DC and like we never got him at his prime. When I did Night We Faced DC for The Athletic, I did like a whole 2-part thing where like the first half was just speaking to like wrestlers to get a sense of like who wrestler DC was, like prime, ridiculously hyper athletic DC, like in his real prime. And like some of the stories that those dudes told me of just his competitiveness and how he would just never lose in all of this was just unbelievable, man. Like you're right. If we had gotten a DC like 24 years old, fresh out of like whatever Olympics, and just like
the Olympic
straight
trials
to MMA,
or whatever, yeah,
that's top 3 greatest fighter of all time at that point.
So back when he was in Strikeforce, and I think even when I was when MMA fighting was for AOL, I would do like fighter blogs, not like video blogs, and I would follow around DC for a couple of days before the fight, and just as a mark of his competitiveness, he would bring NBA 2K or whatever it was at that time, and like him and Luke Rocco would play video games, you know, a couple of days before the fights, and like the intensity that Luke and DC had at each other, it was just, I was like, oh. This is a different level of competitiveness that these guys have on everything, you know, and like it's just they're different types of people at this level, just like when it comes to like competition.
At some point, I have to play golf. I have to play golf with Daniel Cormier.
Oh,
I have to play golf.
It's a lot of fun.
He's such
I have
a
done
competitive
that.
man.
Let me
You play
rephrase.
golf with DC?
I drove a golf cart. I did not play.
We got to do it. We got to do it. I'm sure he's super.
Oh, he talks
super
a lot of shit.
So I haven't told this DC story in a while. So years ago, before DC ever had his first fight, I was at a gym in San Diego, and I was doing videos for King Mo Lawal. And in the corner, there's this chubby, middle-aged black man on a treadmill. Just, in the back corner, And DC's talking about, it's like, oh, man, my boy Daniel, when he does MMA, he's going to be really good. I'm like, oh, cool. I can't wait to meet him. After he's done shooting, he goes, oh, this is my cousin Daniel. I'm like, wait, you're the guy? Like, I thought it was just literally just someone's dad just trying to lose a couple pounds on the treadmill in the back. Like, you would have never, like, I think he was around 270, he said at that time. So, like, it was just, like, and the fact that, that guy became who he is now was unreal.
He was, the first time I saw DC he was on Josh Koscheck's coaching team on The Ultimate Fighter against GSP.
Yeah. I'll never forget it, talking to Pat Cummins for that DC that we faced DC story.
Good Lord.
And Pat Cummins had like real history with DC where sure, we all know like the wrestling stuff, but also he was in Real Pro Wrestling with DC.
Yeah.
If you know what Real Pro Wrestling is, it was like the most bizarre one-off attempt to make like amateur wrestling like this like professional dramatic show.
Professional real wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very weird rabbit hole that we don't need to go down, but I wrote a story about it a long time ago called League of Supermen. But I'm talking to Pat Cummins about this, and I remember this quote. I just looked it up because I loved it. He said, I remember seeing Daniel. He was wrestling at 184 pounds. Let me tell you, Daniel Cormier, without any body fat on him, he was just beating the hell out of everybody. He was so talented. And a guy like me, I'm a walk-on at Penn State, and I earned everything I did. And it was always, oh, yeah, hard work beats talent all day long. And I run into a guy like that, and then you're just like, wait a minute, man. All of this is a load of shit. There's no way I can ever beat this guy. It's just so demoralizing of a competitor.
Oh, man.
Look at Anderson. Anderson's still wanting to go.
Still getting cheered.
I wonder if this was Anderson's biggest paycheck in the UFC for a non-title fight. Taking a short notice.
The Nick Diaz fight, definitely.
Oh, I guess you got pay-per-view points for that one, so that was a little different, yeah.
Yeah.
Anderson made...
There's no way whatever he made was what he really made for this.
Right.
No. He made more than Daniel Cormier made.
I would imagine.
He was on that 600K.
DC made 500K. Silva made 600K.
Yeah.
But Anderson definitely made
paid fighter on the card.
More.
Anderson definitely made pay-per-view points for this, though.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
And this is like 1 million something buys.
Yeah,
Speaking of
1,009,000.
Dude, those jerseys, those fight uniforms are so ugly. They just are. Those Uno cards.
God,
when they had them wear Uno cards, basically. Oh man!
I'll never forget the day after they came out with those.
Giblert,
José, Giblert was one.
Giblert was the classic one. Yeah.
José gave a quote to Guilherme where he said, "We look like the Power Rangers," and it was just the funniest headline that I'd ever seen.
And they would have like Mirko Flipovic instead of Crow Cop and all that stuff.
They did.
I do wish I had bought a Giblert when it was
Quentin
available.
Jackson. 100%. Remember all those stick figure shirts they would have too that just said like jiu-jitsu and then it would be
Taekwondo.
like yeah.
Karate.
Yeah, those are great. I love those. The golden era of MMA. Speaking of plastic,
dude, look at Anderson gets the mic. Anderson gets the mic. Joe Rogan
100%.
gave Anderson the mic. He let go of the mic. Has that happened since? I don't.
You don't say.
I don't remember it. I mean, if Joe was going to give the mic to anybody, it would be Anderson Silva.
Yeah. All right, we got some super chats coming in. Hold on,
Anderson Aldo. Anderson Aldo was a good one too. I don't even remember where that was from, but that was something.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we do this one? Yeah.
We already got this one. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Super Dave, using pride scoring, does Silva win this fight?
Nope.
No.
No, but in my heart, he does.
Old style UFC credentials.
Giovanni, is this the moment where the promotion and all borderline fans lost all patience for grappling? Lay and pray era so over these days. It's probably was going on before, right?
First of all, there was a lot of stand up in that fight, but
also though, I don't think there was ever patience for lay and pray. I think there was zero patience from the get go on that.
Yeah.
There's Pat Barry holding mitts.
It is a funny thing though that you don't think about, but like lay and pray almost doesn't exist anymore. Like MMA evolved beyond it. Everybody's defensive wrestling and defensive grappling and get ups just became so good that like it's just not even a thing anymore.
Yeah. Just not, yeah. Wrestlers need, You just at a high level, you just can't do it. Like, although maybe we're gonna see some lay and pray in this next fight. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean,
oh my god.
Ben Askren couldn't do it in the UFC, and that was like his whole thing in the Bellator.
Lazy Bet, if you had it your way, what commentator, active or retired, would you love to see on the current UFC roster of color / play-by-play? Thanks for this, boys. What commentator, active or retired, would you love to see?
Brian Stam.
Yeah, I would do. I love Morrow, but I also love John.
I don't want to see John. I want to see Morrow every fight, but I want to see Morrow do a UFC card. I just want to hear. I want to hear Morrow.
Yeah.
Color commentator does not. You know, it'd be nice, even though he wasn't a great color commentator, but he was a fun color commentator. Bring Morrow and Boss one time.
Yeah.
Morrow and Boss Ruin just for.
Yeah.
Boss Ruin says some ridiculous things sometimes. Just like, what are you talking about? But it was always. His accent is always fun. His energy is always there. So whatever. The content's not, maybe not accurate, but just Morrow and Boss. I don't know. So for the youngins, go watch some old Pride tapes and you'll hear them.
Get some Steven Quadros on that.
Yeah. The fight professor. The fight professor.
I'll tell you two that just sprung to mind were WEC guys. Frank Mir, number one, who was like super underrated on that. And then
Frank Mir.
Rest in peace, Stephan Bonner. Like one of the great low-key, like underrated commentators. His Showtime kick call is one of the greatest calls in MMA history.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
The sound he makes when it happens is just like a sound that's unreplicatable by a human being.
I was hoping you were gonna try. You did.
I didn't like Shaun. You were there, right? I would imagine.
Yeah, that was my first event I ever covered was WEC 53.
I was there as a fan, so I had to like go back and rewatch the thing because I remember seeing the Showtime kick. Like, what the fuck did I just watch? Like, I could not wrap my brain around it.
I was in New York at a friend's place and I watched it, and actually, honestly, I didn't realize how awesome it was in the moment.
Oh.
I was like, "Wow, that was crazy," but I just kind of watched it and move on. And it wasn't. But then obviously, I wonder. I know it's impossible to calculate, but I wonder through GIFs and memes or whatever, have I seen that strike more than any other single strike ever in this sport?
The Barbosa wheel kick and the Anderson front kick, I've seen a ton.
Yeah, so, I mean it's hard to tell.
I bet it's up there though.
Yeah, it's got to be up there.
Easily top three. Top three.
I think that
until Leon did his thing with Kamaru, like that was the greatest. Pull something out of your ass in the final, like in like the clutch moment in MMA history, like because that title fight was literally tied up in the last minute at that point.
And that's what made it so extra special too. Well, I guess the Leon kick too, because obviously he was down, he won. But yeah, the fact that won Pettis the fight, and the fact that everyone thinks that was a knockout, and actually the fight finished. That's
right.
Ben like popped back up. He had a crazy chin, man.
Yeah.
That and the Randy Couture dropping Tim Sylvia, everyone thinks are knockouts.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that call so much. Oh, he ran off the wall like a ninja. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah. I remember the prelims were awesome, and then the main card had a bunch of decisions.
Dude, the prelims, if you look up that
and
event, are like literally star-studded. They're completely star-studded.
Like I'm pretty sure Renan Barão was the first fight of the card.
Renan Barão choked out Chris Carriasso, future UFC title challenger, in the first fight. Ricardo Lamas lost to Iri Alcantara second fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like Danny Castillo's in third fight. Eddie Wineland actually almost murdered Ted Stone in the fourth
Oh
fight.
my
Like
God,
I was the closest
slammed
I had seen
him.
to a human being dying in the cage. Like up and down. This is Jamie Varner, Brad Pickett. Like,
Brock's walkout. Oh, we're not gonna hear the real music though. So what was the
Canadian icon Brock Lesnar?
Yeah. Oh yeah, did he walked out the Canadian flag? Yeah, he dude, like that's
because Ariel was asking about him at Ariel's asking about it at the press conference, and Brock was like not having it because he's
which
like,
is weird. It's a fair question. You walked out you're an American, walked out the Canadian flag, so it's interesting. I mean, but like
he's like, I live there. Next question. And then I remember Brock Ariel was like, Brock, how many, like, you weren't training. How many rounds did you do? And like Brock didn't understand the question and he was getting frustrated. So Ariel just kept having to repeat the question. And finally he was like, what are you asking? And then Dana has to like translate for Brock. And he's asking how many rounds you did. And Brock Lesnar just goes, 1,000,000. And then next question.
that man is on so many steroids.
Oh, dude, he's leaking.
Look at how he is juiced to the gills.
Yeah,
the steroids.
That's someone that does not fight for show and win. Because he
he needs help getting his shirt off because of his ridiculous shaped torso.
Awful tattoos. So after this event, I went to Sports Illustrated Fansided. And the first article I ever wrote for them was him popping and like all the details about like what he tested for and the fines and the suspension and everything. And it carried the site for a month, that article. Like it was routinely the most read article. And I never matched that again in Sports Illustrated. It just shows you how much of a like Brock Lesnar is just so in demand.
Pop for every steroid known to man in this one.
Jimmy Lennon Jr. Wow.
I'll be really. I don't think he's ever done MMA. He's still doing all the boxing events. I know he does a bunch of PBC events. So that'll be nice.
Did he not do some like pro elite XC?
Wait, maybe. Oh no, yeah, you're right. He did Strikeforce. He did Showtime stuff for Strikeforce. I take that back.
I thought he did some Showtime stuff, right?
Yeah. You're MMA stuff. I forgot. You're right. Yeah.
I was so bummed out watching this fight.
It was.
He also did
stinky stinker.
According to his bio, he also did some K1. Jimmy Lennon.
That's I believe that.
He was the ring announcer for EA Sports MMA.
Not a bad game.
It's not the best game.
All of them suck. To be honest, I don't like any of them. But
Undisputed 3 is great.
I didn't like him.
That's the one with the Pride mode, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was like the last THQ one. The last THQ one was the best MMA game ever made.
Yeah, that one was great.
All right, I'll give you that one, but whatever.
Dude, they had Pride mode in that, and it was so fun.
100%.
Could you do strikes that weren't legal? You could?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Soccer kicks, stomps, all of it. And it had Lenny Hart bouncing. And it had
Lenny Hart too.
And they had this storyline mode where you had to, like, you were Rampage fighting whoever he was slammed, and I know it's going to bother me. And you have to like win by slam. Arona, like you have to win by slam. You have to basically reenact the fight. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The only one missing was Fedor.
Cheddar makes it better. You got to pay for those likenesses, baby.
He's in the last game. He's in the new game.
Yeah, what's the story? Remember, I think someone asked about that, and Dana was really coy about it.
MMA Jose Young, so MMA fighting.
Oh, it's you? Okay.
In
some jabroni.
Because I asked him because remember he gave out like there was so many finishes in that. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, would you just give out just a finish bonus rather than this whole win-loss thing? And he kind of got annoyed. So then I had to bring him back around, and I asked him about Fedor, and he got really excited. But he would also play a little sly.
Okay, so I'm assuming everyone's going to boo Brock for laying and praying. So they're going to...
I thought Mark Hunt was going to melt this dude.
Dude, same.
And then I saw him take his shirt off. I'm like, oh, This is
Yeah.
they're gonna be one of those fights.
I was so wrong about both this because the co-main and the main, I was just like, oh, Miesha Tate's gonna walk all over this Amanda Nunes. Like this, I just watched this woman lose.
You thought
to
that?
Kat
Oh, okay.
Zingano.
That was
Because I was at the cat fight. I was at the cat fight where like
Oh.
all of that happened, and so it's just like I just watched her lose to this. And it's just-
I mean, yeah.
Miesha had a really bad wake up for this fight too.
Miesha almost she almost even
Yeah,
made.
the
She
last
came
one.
at the last second for
That's
the 2-hour window.
right.
The last.
pretty
second.
sure
So that was the first time they were doing those type of early morning weigh-ins. I think because
won
nobody really
199
knew
was
what
the
was
first.
going to happen.
Right.
Because I remember
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of us in that room being there, like, and the clock's running down.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck happens if she doesn't come in?
Yeah.
Like, no one knew the protocol.
We were talking about this. Like, I just showed up and they're like, "You want to film this?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's content."
Yeah, Miesha. Oh, she looked horrible. Like horrible.
I think she was on. If I remember correctly,
Woo.
she had like changed her diet, and it was like her first weight cut on this new diet, and it just
And
blew
it's-
up in
yeah.
her face.
You know, okay. So from your memory of this fight, I'm shocked. This has been 90 seconds of stand up already.
Yeah, no.
Because
I just remember every single feint Mark Hunt throws, Brock Lesnar has a massive reaction to.
whoa.
Oh, this. Yeah,
You see that? He that was what. Okay.
Brock just dove from that from 2 miles away. Oh my god!
Okay, get it. And
There's Brock
Yeah,
Lesnar
that's
strategy, just
bad.
run with his head straight at you. His head's down, and he just runs at you.
Remember the golden age of MMA when someone grabbed the fence and the ref just slapped it off? Remember those days? What a time. Now it's just like, please let go of the fence. And then they'll do the same thing 5 more times. Yep, this is classic
You're gonna
Brock.
take
It's
down
basically
Will
the fight,
Gibbons
guys.
at that point.
Speaking of blast from the
Lazy.
past, I keep seeing Pat Lonville in the background.
There's a name I haven't thought about
I
in a long
know.
time.
I hadn't thought about that name since I just saw her walking around.
God,
Nate Diaz
you're
would
talking
love
about
the
like
word.
ghost of MMA past villains. She was
Yeah,
like the
seriously.
biggest villain in MMA for a second.
Yeah, Nick Diaz would like a word.
Meanwhile, he ended up sitting out 5 years anyway.
Yeah. Remember she gave Conor like, what was it, like some like $200,000 fine, like 100 hours community service for like the water bottle incident. Oh my god! And then Conor's like, "I'll never fight in Vegas again." I was like, "Yeah, okay, but oh my god,
yeah.
what a
Were you
weird
in, were you
time
in
in
the, were you at that fight week, Jose?
202?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I every now and then I'll find that video. I have a video of me filming Nate walking out of that press conference, and then you just hear, "You'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing" from like the stage. Yeah. Oh, I was there.
I remember that was the Thursday of the fight week. And
Yeah.
I remember before the press conference starts, it was a bunch of us sitting outside of it waiting to get in. And we were all standing next to, like, just amongst each other, just being like, man, like, this fight week's kind of a dud. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like,
saying that. Yeah.
this fight week kind of sucks. Like, this is really anticlimactic. And then, bang.
It's unreal.
Was this the last time
It
the
was just
UFC
a-
did 3 events in a weekend in a fight week?
This one was the last one, yeah.
This was the last time they did it. Okay.
Have they done 2 events in a weekend since? Oh, I guess they did the 3 events in a week, but not weekends. Because like the Fight Island, they had the Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, but not back to back to back in 3 days.
Yeah.
Because I remember they did the 3, I think it was 3 different times. I could be wrong, but it was 189 week. They did the 2 and then 189. And then 194 week.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then
Ooh.
Yeah, but 189, the tough finale was on Sunday, the day after the
Yes.
pay-per-view. So when I
was
went
that Johnny Hendricks and
That was the
Steven
Wonder
Johnson?
Boy.
that was Wonder Boy
No.
Ellenberger.
Ellenberger? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ellenberger. Yeah, that was
And,
spinning wheel kicker.
And that was Kamaru Usman and Karate Hotti's UFC debuts. And Masvidal's welterweight debut was on that card.
I didn't realize Mark Hunt actually got up once, but then he just ran into the. But he tried throwing a big uppercut, but wasn't successful. Jeez. Mark Hunt like he's drunk.
Good fight. He's just like, oh, man.
Drunk. Oi. Jeez.
Thump.
Some of this ground and pound is better than I remembered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are definitely moments.
He's just a freak. Who did he fight after this? Overeem?
No,
Mark
this is
Hunt.
his last fight.
This is Mark Hunt.
No,
I mean,
Mark
Mark
Hunt.
Hunt.
Oh,
Sorry,
Mark
Mark Hunt. Yeah. I think it was
Yeah.
it Overeem at 209?
I think so. It was someone pretty famous. Not It
Yeah.
wasn't just.
It was
Yeah,
the first time.
Wasn't Rodrigo Namasito Namas whatever. Whatever.
It was the it was the first time two K1 Grand Prix champions fought in the UFC. And that fight card is everything that the UFC sold you Izzy and Alex was, because Overeem and Mark Hunt had all the accolades.
Here we go, round 2. Brock is just not even a human being. Oh, and Brock coming out looking for a
Dude.
glove touch. I remember now that this is coming back to me a little bit now because I was stunned
Mark
by that.
Hunt, dude. Brock Lesnar is such a freak.
Yeah, we
This is
litigated this on the damn. They were good of Brock Lesnar, but like, he's like a top 2 athlete in MMA history.
Yeah.
Just like pure athlete. It's like him and
Yeah.
Kevin Randleman. And depending on where you put Yoel Romero.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yoel's a good one.
Who's the best athlete under 55? 55 pounds. 155, sorry. I know we're going to kind of heavier guys.
Who's
but,
the best athlete that's below 55?
Yeah.
Like 55 and below? Is that counting 155,
Yeah.
or is it like
I mean,
featherweight?
I'll- Yeah. I'll count
I mean, so
Aldo.
do you mean like pure athleticism or
Yeah,
like,
we're the same athleticism we're kind of giving to Randleman and Brock. Guys who can just probably at their height just have the most explosive, fast reflex kind of just guys who can just
I think
bounce.
Khabib has to be up there.
Michael Chandler's pretty
I feel like-
athletic.
I want to
think
default to DJ if I'm being honest.
Yeah, DJ's that. Yeah.
Good one.
I might
Yeah.
go D.
Habib is
I
a
might go-
freak, dude. Habib is a freak. Still probably is. That dude's athleticism just never got enough credit. Like, you're such a good athlete.
That's super true.
Just unreal. Unreal.
Also, this man would never get a mention, but John Dodson's up there. That's one of the fastest human beings I've ever
I
seen
don't
in my
know.
life.
Honestly, Zabit was a crazy athlete too.
Yep.
That dude could jump so
That's a good
high.
call. We still should do the combine
Also,
idea.
I still think Kevin Randleman is
prime
the best
Jose
pure
Aldo.
Yeah, Aldo is my answer.
Yeah. Aldo?
Dude, prime
Yeah.
Kevin Randleman. So like I've been on this corner for a long time, but like prime Kevin Randleman would genuinely be like maybe not a Conor level superstar if he came up now, but like he would be pretty damn close. Because that dude had tremendous mic work and he was genuinely the most athletic person you've ever seen in your entire life.
I didn't understand his athleticism until I watched his
Dude.
pro wrestling in Japan. When I watched his pro wrestling in Japan, I was like, holy crap. Man, that
He's a
guy was
freak.
unreal.
Dude,
There was a lot of stand-up
from
in
a
this fight.
standing jump.
There
From a
was-
standing position, he could just jump straight out of the cage very easily. Like, not even a question. Just like no running start, just jump.
BJ
Okay, now
was a good.
Okay,
was
now
a pretty
we're
good
saying
athlete, too.
great athleticism. How old is Brock in this? I think Brock doesn't. God, this fight
38?
just okay.
Late
this
30s,
fight's-
yeah.
See, I still have issues calling Brock. I understand he's super athletic. I get that, but like, he just has no gas. I mean, he's just I don't know. I mean, he's on the
at
gas,
this
but he doesn't
point,
have the
he's
gas.
very diminished. He's like a diminished, kind of diverticulitis out Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I mean, I realize there's other kind of factors, but yeah. Whatever.
He also,
He's
like,
Kenny
took
Omega
fight
has
on,
right
like-
now.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
That's a big bummer.
Kenny
He also
Omega
took
has
this fight on
diverticulitis.
like a month's notice.
That's why he's not wrestling right now.
Yeah, I haven't paid attention.
Two of the fighters on the main card, this fight, they were on less than a month notice. One was like less than 2 days or 3 days notice.
Well, Mark too.
Oh yeah, Mark too. Yeah, so 3 fighters on this card. Yeah, so this whole fight was put together just the last month, right, or whatever, like
Yeah.
a week before 199,
Oh,
pretty
yeah,
much.
it was thrown together last second, pretty much.
Now, from what I recall, this is all what I heard. The reason this wasn't the main event was because the money stuff because Brock is whatever in his contract. He would have to get a lot more money if he was going to be the main event. That's I don't know if that was ever confirmed, but that's what the word
because was. it was main event for like 2 hours. And then they changed it.
That's what it was. It was main event. Okay, we mentioned that earlier. I swear I thought this was the main event for a while, but then obviously it wasn't.
Because I remember when you go to the T-Mobile Arena, when you sign up for their Wi-Fi, it has a splash page of whatever's happening at that. And the day before, it had Brock Lesnar and Mark Hunt. But then the day of the fight, it changed to Miesha and Amanda.
You're right. That was it. I remember it was something really weird, and we never got. Of course, never got a straight answer from Dana. So at this point,
I don't believe it.
Yeah. I remember fans because I watched this from like the concourse, like there's like a little kind of area where they sell lots of Bud Light. That's where I was watching this fight from, and I remember fans thinking this was the main event. And then people going, no, there's actually a fight after this. And but most fans literally thought this was the main event.
I watched this so there were I'm sure Esther has stories, but like there were so many photographers there that Shaun, do you remember the media room was the old visiting team locker room, but they even had to open up that adjacent room next to it because the amount of media spillover, because they had nowhere to seat everyone. And then we had to get transported to the tent outside for the actual presser. But I got sat with all the Getty image like assistants. So they would take the cards and then they would upload and fill out all the metadata. And they were all like, this fight fucking sucks. Cause like they've never watched a fight before in their life. They're like, this fight, like Brock Lesnar's supposed to be good, right? I'm like, I mean, it's forward shit. I don't know what to tell you, man.
I mean, it does suck. This fight does suck.
Yeah, it really does.
It's actually better than I remembered live, but still like awful, like really bad.
Because Mark is just so exhausted from getting up for that first round, just surviving that first round, and then this is what we got.
And then
it's kind of like. It's the only bad fight of Brock's career. Like every other Brock fight is extremely exciting.
Win or lose, yeah.
That's very true.
Is this the longest Brock fight? I'm sure.
No, Heath Herring was 3 rounds.
Heath Herring. Yeah.
That was the second fight. Because that's another fight people think was a knockout because he sent him tumbling backwards in like the first punch.
That was an ass whooping. That was a 15-minute.
That was the co-main event and then the main event was a 25-minute ass whooping with GSP and Dan Hardy.
Yep.
Chad has a good shout out on athletic people in terms of Melvin Manhoof. We didn't mention Melvin Manhoof, but that was straight fast twitch. Every ounce of that, man.
Benson,
great. Yeah. Honestly, Jalen Turner is a freak athlete too. I've seen that man do some crazy things outside the octagon.
Maybe. I didn't watch it close enough, Super Dave, but this fight, as far as dominance from Brock, I thought it was going to be more dominant than what I remember. It's actually, I think, we get 3 minutes of this. I think this is what we remember from the fight. This, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's really interesting how like Donald Cerrone didn't criticize this performance, but he criticized Daniel's performance. It's odd.
What are you implying, Casey?
I'm just saying.
We talked about it earlier.
Interesting.
Did Brock lose a point in this fight?
Doesn't matter. It was a no contest anyway.
I'm just curious because I'm going back and like looking at the scorecards, and I'm just curious.
Yeah, it looks like it was 29-27. It must have been.
When did that? I wonder for what.
Fence grabs? I don't know.
You know what? This is interesting too. Mark Hunt was in Tapology. I didn't realize this. 72% of the people thought Mark Hunt was going to win this fight, but of course,
I thought it was.
Well, I was straight in that corner. Everybody thought that this was like, oh man, I can't wait to see Mark knock this dude out. This is going to be so great.
I think no one thought that. I mean, we thought it, but to see it, the audacity of all the gas that Brock Lesnar came on, I think that was kind of even shocking for people that knew that he was going to pop. You know what I mean? I think, yeah.
Yeah, once the list came out of like.
Yeah, but when they saw the
every
list,
subject.
go, all right, yeah. That would have changed the betting lines.
Yeah, right? Like, where is this information?
yeah.
Yeah,
Did you ever,
I don't. 29,
have you ever
27,
seen
that's
Brock
pretty-
Lesnar's his actual
over
fight
there.
manager? Not Paul Heyman, his actual manager. Have you ever seen him in person?
Nope.
Like, he looks like, it's funny. Like, Paul Heyman looks like a real manager, and his real manager looks like a wrestling manager. Like, he looks like a fake. Like, he doesn't look real. It's hard to explain. Yeah, if you haven't seen him.
Well, to answer Super Dave's question, I pulled up the old MMA Fighting post. MMA Fighting has scored round 2 for Mark Hunt.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think,
So-
I
Live
think
blog?
Cayman Rider
Yeah.
nailed it. I think Cayman Rider nailed it that it's a 10-9, 9-10, and then 10-8.
Yeah, because I wanted to
Oh,
confirm if it
Yeah,
was
good call.
the
Oh, the 10-8.
official.
That's why there's no point deductions. It's 10-8. That's
Yeah.
why. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, the MMA Fighting scorecard is 28-20, 29-28 Lesnar.
Who did the
I
live
don't
blog on that?
remember.
A young whippersnapper named Brian Tucker.
What?
What?
I'm not making that up. I'm
That
not
can't
making that up.
possibly be true.
Hey,
What?
Well, let me rephrase it. This is the highlights. Oh no, it's Chuck. I lied. Brian. Did
Okay, I was gonna say
the
Brian is not
highlights.
doing some play-by-play. I would have remembered that.
Nah,
Not even then.
You're right. You're right. He did that. He just did the highlight post.
It was funny, like doing my research for this card and going back through all the articles. Tucker wrote like a ton of articles about all of this,
Yeah.
like the build and the story to like the main events and things changing and like all sorts of crazy things that I like never saw before, including like after the 199 incident. I never knew. Like, I know the UFC like released a statement about like giving MMA fighting the credentials back, and I didn't realize there was a statement back from MMA fighting like negating and disagreeing with the UFC statement, and Tucker wrote it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I read it. I was like, oh shit, I don't remember that.
Oh, because they didn't admit fault. They just said, we forgive him. Basically, that's what the UFC said, kind of. Is that what it
Yeah.
was?
Yeah,
Like, we
exactly.
forgive you guys.
Let me see if I can find it. I literally looked at it earlier, and it was really interesting.
I tell you, man, it was only 8 years, but it's like the content world, like the content cycle was completely different, man. The editorial like schedule, all of it, like just so vastly different than it is today.
Way different.
So this is
The
the
pandemic
UFC
changed everything.
statement. This is
Pandemic
the UFC
ruined
statement.
everything, to be honest.
Mhm.
So the UFC statement was, following a conversation with the editorial team at SB Nation, UFC will not prevent MMAfighting.com from receiving media credentials to cover live UFC events. We respect the role the media plays in our sport and beyond, including MMA fighting's ability to report news. However, in our opinion, we believe the recurring tactics used by its lead reporter extended beyond the purpose of journalism. We feel confident our position has now been adequately communicated to the SB Nation editorial team. MMA fighting statement was, after a conversation with UFC officials Monday night, a credential ban on reporter Ariel Helwani, photojournalist Esther Lynn, and video journalist Casey Leydon has been lifted. MMAfighting.com is appreciative of the fact that the UFC was willing to rethink its stance. However, we respectfully disagree with the UFC's claim that, quote, recurring tactics used by Ariel Helwani extended beyond the purpose of journalism. SB Nation MMA Fighting will continue to stand behind Helwani's work and the contributions of the rest of the employees of the staff. MMAfighting.com would like to sincerely thank all the fans, media, and fighters who supported us during this time. Just tremendous stuff all around.
It was a wild time, man. It was a wild time. I remember so vividly that night. I 199. I had taken it off because I had like my 10-year high school reunion, but I was like really excited for the Bisping fight, and so I just kept my phone like on airplane mode essentially the whole night because I didn't want spoilers from all the email chains and Slack chains and whatever. And so I come home late at night, a little drunk from the reunion. I put on the pay-per-view and I watch it all, like speed through it all. And then I turn my phone back on, and so at 4 a.m., all of a sudden I find out everything that's happened the entire night with all y'all.
God.
It was just like, what the fuck?
Jesus.
I remember I was backstage in the media room, and Ariel reported the Brock news, and I was about 3 feet from him, and I just looked at him and I go, "Is this true?" And he goes, He goes, and he looks at me dead in the face and goes, I wouldn't report if it wasn't true, Jose. I'm like, fair enough. And then we chatted for a little bit, and then he just disappeared. And then he just vanished. And I just was like, I guess he went out to watch the main event. And then all the news came out.
Man. What a time.
One day.
It was all because of this man. Recording a fight with this man.
One day, Casey, we'll sit down and tell your whole memory of that night.
You know what's crazy about that night too?
Very specific incident that occurred.
Yeah. That. Oh my God! It's a close up on Brock making out with his wife.
Sable.
We on that night too. Just by chance, we had not hired, but we brought on a photo intern that night. It was just so on his first night,
and he was so excited. He was so stupidly excited.
He was like, "Is this normal?"
What happened to him?
Oh, I don't know. It's just he still works he's a photo assistant in LA, but it's just a good story he has now.
Yeah, that's so funny.
All right, main event time.
Because Meltzer and Dave Doyle's didn't get kicked out.
Mark Romani was there too, and he didn't get kicked. Yeah. He didn't get kicked out too.
Just you three. Just you three.
Yeah, they were very confused. They were like, "Wait, are we kicked?" It was fun times.
The part about that always got me is like, I understand what, like, I don't understand, but like, I understand UFC thinking of Helwani and you, but like, why Esther? Why are you kicking out Esther? She's taking photos.
We'll talk later.
Understandable.
Dude, they're showing the promo now of Tate home, and this is like low key one of the greatest finishes for a UFC fight ever.
Oh, where was this fight on the card originally? Was this the co-main? Where was this supposed to be on the card?
I think it was the third from the top.
Yep.
Yeah, it was before Lesnar.
So Brock versus Mark Hunt was always going to be the co-main?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to be my knowledge. Okay, the title fight, that fight, and then the main event would be Jon DC.
I still believe to this day that DC would have won that fight back then.
It's a different fight.
Because that was right. Fight. That was right after Jon looked awful against Owens.
Awful. Yep. Yeah. Dude, what just a giant what if, if DC wasn't injured for that Owens fight, Owens is that how it worked? Was Owens the replacement for DC?
Yeah.
DC did commentary for that fight too.
Yeah, and you just hear DC, you just feel it in DC. We all knew it, but you could feel it. Everything DC was saying is like, this is Jon Jones. This is the guy that, like, oh. Man.
That was a really good
I think he said it a bunch that night of like, I would have beat this Jon Jones.
Oh, did he straight up say it? Okay, yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I could be projecting, but I think he's.
It was a good main card too, for 197, if I remember correctly. That was the last event at the MGM Grand Garden, right?
Wow, this is wild.
After that,
too.
It's been all T-Mobile.
Was it?
Sorry. So in Tapology,
what was 198?
Oh,
that was in Brazil. That was when Stipe knocked out for Brazil. Doom.
So that was the last. That was the last at the MGM. Oh, I guess the two events before UFC 200 were at the MGM Grand, like the 2 days before.
You're right.
So Tapology, 85% of fans had Miesha Tate winning this fight.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But honestly, like in hindsight, it's not a shocker, like what Shaun said.
It's not bad because Tate was a horrible weigh-ins, and Tate and Nunes at this point loses fights to people like Tate. This is how she loses.
She's a front runner.
A front runner, and if Tate could survive that onslaught, get Nunes tired out, and eventually Miesha would ground her out, win by ground and pound, get a submission. That's how Nunes had lost all her fights. Actually, lost all her fights in her career. Even Julia Pena are just kind of different versions of Miesha Tate. Kaz and Gon are just these wrestlers. Alexis Davis just out-wrestled Amanda Nunes. So it was fair to think that Miesha Tate was going to win this fight. Yeah.
Miesha was a
It's
big
so
betting
bizarre.
favorite too.
I'm sorry?
Yeah,
Miesha was a big
I mean,
betting
it's just
favorite
bizarre.
too.
Yep.
I was just saying, it's bizarre in retrospect. You look at it and you look at like, oh, UFC 200 headlined by Amanda. That makes sense. She's the greatest female fighter of all time, like a top 10 fighter of all time. Period. And it's like, oh no, that was not what was happening right now.
Yeah.
That was not the framing around this.
That's what, and I have to kind of remind myself all the time, like when we saw just last weekend with Mano Ferro and Erin Blanchfield, like, oh, Erin Blanchfield's done. She lost the fight. We'll never see her at the top again. Man, you just don't know. You do not know in this freaking sport, you know?
Freaking Charles Oliveira and Glover Teixeira win championships. Like,
Yeah.
It happens.
Jan Blachowicz, like Michael Bisping.
Jan, yeah. Our boy Pat Cummins beat up Jan. And then Jan comes back and wins the championship, you know? So
Wow, yeah, good call.
Yeah.
God, Amanda looks so young here.
Why not?
Tremendous mohawk on that.
That was
Oh, and there's
outstanding.
Nina.
There's Nina, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I forgot her name. She fought in Invicta. I forget her name, but she was nice. Nice lady.
Talking about the woman with the mohawk?
Yeah, the Mohawk. Yeah, I forget her name, but she fought in
Is
Invicta
that,
multiple times. Madera?
That's not Sarah Diallo, right?
No, it's not her. No, not Sarah Diallo.
Do we get any comments and questions from the peeps while we await the arrival of Miesha Tate? Which, by the way, what an underrated fight Miesha Tate versus Holly Holm is.
Very much so.
So good.
That's what
Seeing
I'm
these
saying,
two
man.
like
That's such a
rebooked
good
is
fight.
unreal.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? It's our introduction to the mythical version of Nunes.
Yeah. But
People still discounted her after this. People thought
Well,
it
I
was just
think
like, I
that-
don't know how Miesha has
Yeah.
a bad performance.
Yeah, and then she knocked out Ronda, and people thought Ronda could come back, and then she had that real close fight against Valentina. There was a legit argument that Amanda lost, and then she beat Raquel Pennington. And I think at the time was the lowest selling pay per view ever. It was the Cyborg fight that put her over the edge when she went up to
at
featherweight.
45.
Yep.
At 45. Yep.
Yeah,
You're
that's
totally
the one
right.
that shot her.
Man,
That's what
talk
that shot
about,
her with Superstar.
rematches that there's no reason we shouldn't have gotten. God, that's a rematch I've wanted. Cyborg Nunes too.
Yeah.
That was
after
that was like crazy 90-second fight, and it was just a coin.
I don't even-
fight, the way
I don't even think it was a minute, man. It was might have been
45
45
seconds.
seconds.
yeah.
Yeah.
They just started throwing hammers. I was like, and of course, one of them had to go down, but I wanted
And
to
then
see it
after,
again. But yeah.
and then after that's still like one of the loudest arenas I've ever experienced in my entire life. But then 239 was, I think, her next one. That was against Holly, and that to me cemented her as like, oh, she's the best women's fighter ever.
When she knocked out Holly, that's when I was like, all right, you know,
Because like Cyborg fought like an idiot.
Well,
and I always thought,
Well, yeah, I mean, they both did. Like, and that's the coin. That's the thing. They just flipped a coin. Like, all right, one of us are gonna get knocked out, which is super exciting. But you get knocked out too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the Holly
Holly
knockout
put it over.
when I went like, all right, this is a new Amanda Nunes.
Yeah.
So, but then Julia Pena showed up, and the old Amanda Nunes showed up too. So here we are.
Here comes Miesha Tate.
Jose, you talking about the loudest arenas you've ever been. One that always sticks out to me that no one ever mentions, and like, no,
Chicago?
is when
Yeah,
I
Cleveland,
think it was
sorry.
either Houston or Dallas. Diego Sanchez versus Gilbert Melendez
Gilbert.
round.
That was
two.
Houston.
In Houston,
That was Houston.
166.
That fucking arena
my
vibrated.
God.
during
Oh, yeah.
that, man.
You're talking about Gilbert Melendez's only UFC win ever, which is crazy to even mention. But,
Well, yeah, it just
I guess.
yeah.
that card was sick too. Didn't he fight?
That was one of the Kane JDSs, I think.
Yeah, I think that was the second one. I think that was the
Yeah.
rematch. Yeah. No, that was the third one because 150.
Third one.
The rematch on like December 29th or whatever, like UFC 150 something. And then 166 was the rematch. Because I remember I was there because I was working for ArizonaSports.com at the time when I think they were still 6:20 a.m. and I was doing a follow along with CB Dalloway. So I like shout out CB for the week, and I was like writing about him, and I think he definitely beat Tim Bosch in that fight. That's not one people talk about, but I just remember being like, that was a dumb decision. That was like dueling 30-27s or something like that.
Can you remind me the time frame? Why wasn't this Tate versus Ronda?
Ronda just wasn't going to come back.
Ronda just wasn't coming back. She was just
disappeared. Yeah,
she was still
MIA.
She was just MIA.
Completely
okay.
MIA.
Yeah. I wasn't sure. I was trying to remember the timeline. I can't really quite remember. Like, was it contracts or just?
I remember it was a surprise that we even got her for 207 at the end of the year.
207. Yeah,
that was a surprise.
Because like we just assumed that we just weren't getting her again, and then all of a sudden that fight was booked, and then that fight week was one of the weirdest fight weeks I've ever been a part
No media,
absolutely.
We got
no media.
zero time. We got 0 time and 0 promotion with the main event the entire time.
I remember even like Ronda's morning weigh-in.
Official.
Like she would,
yeah,
the official. She was just like, she didn't like do the hand raise, just like it was almost like a game now she was doing. Like, I'm not even gonna look at cameras, you know. It was,
She just didn't seem like she wanted to be
I remember when she came out to do the official weigh-in, she like was surprised we were there. She was like, "What?" They were like, "Why?" I
don't think she was keeping up with that stuff at the time. Like, like what people show up for this? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't there? Because I think the rumor was that if she had beaten Holly, Dana was going to try to do everything in his power to make the Cyborg fight for UFC 200. Back in November when she fought.
Man, just think about. I mean, I know there's a lot of what ifs, but like, imagine if Ronda made her come back for this fight, and there was a good chance she beats Miesha, and then just like
100%.
You know, things just change. Just
the way
you just changed. You just the sport. You know, just.
I just have to throw it out before this fight starts because Jose, you mentioned Tim Bosch, and I haven't thought of the name Tim Bosch in about 8 years. Everyone who's watching this right now and everyone in the chat, I swear to God, when this is done, go look up Tim Bosch versus David Heath. You will thank me forever. You will not regret a single second of it. It's only like a few minutes long. It's one of the greatest highlights you'll ever see in your life.
And then go watch Tim Bosch fight Yushin Okami in Japan.
Oh, in Japan. Yeah.
And then go fight. And then so he's the only. So I went to the Bangor main fight because I was shadowing Ryan Bader, and Tim Bosch fought Brad Tavares on the earlier. He might have been the co-main, honestly. And Tim Bosch was the only guy from Maine on the card. And in typical Tim Bosch fashion, like he was getting absolutely dominated until he wasn't. And in typical like intelligent Maine, northern Maine fashion, they were screaming at Brad Tavares to go back where he came from. This is America. And I'm like, he's from Hawaii, you dumb, ignorant people.
Never has
that's Maine for you.
Been more fitting calling Tim Bosch the Barbarian because that man.
Oh, I loved it's my dad's favorite
what do you think a Barbarian looks like?
That toss into the fence, I don't remember where I was when I saw that, but that's one of those handful of times where I'm just like, it's just a fight, and you just go, what? You know, that was the Showtime kick type of toss. You know, like what are we watching? This is insane.
That's like one of the few times where it's like, this this professional fist fight, I could have just watched this in a back alley. Like this felt
like we were watching a gladiator challenge or a King of the Cage in the UFC. It felt like that night. All right, let's watch this murder real quick.
Okay. So this just started. I haven't watched this since this night, and I'm super curious to see this because I haven't rewatched it.
Let's see if this is as brutal as we remember it.
I just remember being so confused by the end of it, of just like, wow, is this really over? Did it really just happen like this?
Okay, you know, all right, no. Oh, good jab.
Oh, good nasty leg kick by Amanda.
God, I haven't watched Young Amanda Nunes in a long time, and I forgot how fast she is, or it was.
Amanda doesn't have her like gladiator sleeve tattoo yet.
Yeah.
She does look like younger.
Oh,
oi!
Oh my God!
See it. That's it. Miesha goes, okay, that hurt.
Amanda does not respect Miesha striking at all.
She got up from that takedown so fast.
Where are you at? Where I'm at?
I might be a tiny bit.
Yeah, I'm going by the clock on here.
I'm at 4:01.
The clock on the screen is the accurate clock.
Yeah, you're like 10. You're like 10 seconds. Yeah, you're like 10 seconds ahead. Oof.
Oh, that overhand.
Oh my god, she's thrown that same 1-2 overhand until she retired.
Even when you block it, it just hurts your arm. I mean, it has to hurt your arms, just everything. Just to even block that punch, it's like, oh.
I also like when she breaks away. She's did this her whole career too. Like she just full on extends, shoves you. Like even her pushes look violent.
Yeah,
like a playground shove.
Yeah, like someone will try to clinch them. She's like, "Fuck out of here!" Just will shove you
Oh,
away.
that jab messed Miesha up. She didn't like that jab, man. Yeah, just
That's the beginning of the end.
Dude.
Oh, almost illegal.
Oh,
Was that
history changes.
that was so
knee
close to
lands.
illegal.
History changes that knee lands. Oh my god, I never remember that illegal knee that just missed.
Yeah, Misha's in quicksand now. Like this is
Yeah.
over.
Her
She's
face is
getting
all
thumbed
busted up.
And Amanda knows it too. She already smells blood in the water. She knows it's just a matter of time.
This is Amanda at her best when she has you hurt.
Amanda's
Yeah.
so good.
Oh my god, man. Watching this back is so much more violent than it was in the moment for me.
Oh, oy.
Oh,
Dude, this isn't that much different from the
Golly.
Ronda fight, to be honest.
and then
No.
she just crumbles.
Yeah, just like you just
is
go,
how-
no.
Herb wanted to stop it. Oh, this is just brutal. Look at Misha's face, dude. Golly.
Her
Like
arms
having
are
the
just
Homer
so
Simpson
long.
strategy, because
yeah.
Misha's strategy is always
Oh, I
kind of
take
the
that
Homer
back.
Simpson strategy, and that's such a bad call against Amanda. You know.
Well, that's
Now she's just pounding away.
Rogue. I like Rogan. This is the best thing for Miesha. Is that
There's a
It's a
look
rear
at
naked
his
choke,
face.
yeah.
It's over. That was
It's
like on
not
the
even, though.
face.
It's just the jaw. Yeah, man.
I think that was just. Wait, is Miesha congratulating or is she still fighting? I can't tell.
That was a hug. That was a hug.
Okay.
That was a thank God it's over hug.
Yeah, thank you. All right, that's it.
Where does
Shouldn't
that
even break
rank
a
now that,
sweat.
now that we just rewatched that? Where does that rank on like the all-time ascending to the throne as one of the goats beginning their ascent to the
It's up there.
conversation?
Yo, it's
like
up there with
Anderson
Joanna.
Rich-
Joanna
It's up there with
Carla's
Joanna Carla. Joanna Carla's way up there.
Joanna Carla.
That's a good call.
Actually, John Shogun.
Shogun. That is the
John
pinnacle
Shogun.
of it.
Yeah,
That's
this
the
felt
pinnacle.
very John Shogun. This felt very same
Yeah.
thing. You know.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good
My Kane Brock. Actually, there's a few of them. Well, Kane never. It was, that's how Kane won his championship, right? Against Brock, right? That was.
Yeah.
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 I mean, if we want to get like real technical, even though like the hardcores already knew, Anderson Silva, Rich Franklin won.
Yeah.
That was a friggin'
That's
awesome.
sort of where I land on it.
Yeah. There's a few of them, but yeah, this is one of those as far as like, all right, yeah, okay. she's yeah.
When I used to work
everything just changed. Like there's a real paradigm shift that
Yeah,
we just
yeah.
watched play
When
out.
Exactly, yeah.
when I wrote for Flow Combat back in the day, I used to have to create these like lists once a week, and the last one I ever wrote was the top 5 beatdowns of reigning champions, and this had just happened, so this was my honorable mention. But my
That's
number
a good, that's a
5
good category. Yeah.
Number 5, I had this obviously changed since then. Number 5, I had TJ Henan Barao, because remember Henan was the reigning champion in the first one, and then TJ
that's a
just
good one.
beat the soul out of him. And then number 4 was the Kane JDS2 at 155. When
Actually,
Kane got
I mean,
revenge.
We can look at Holly Ronda too.
Yeah,
that
that's a good
was-
shout.
Holly Ronda.
That
I mean,
hadn't happened.
obviously the things didn't pan out the same for Holly like it did for Amanda, but coming out of that fight, we're like, because Holly wasn't proven yet, you know, she was a giant underdog, you know, and just. It is wild though. It's like, yeah, this sport, man. You are the hammer. You are the hammer for the longest time, and man, and then when the most eyes are on you, you're the nail. It's just,
Dude,
it's just.
yeah. And when your time comes, there's nothing anybody can do
Yeah.
about it. It's just like, and you know it quick too often. It's just like, oh,
Yeah.
this is not what I thought this was going to look like.
I think that like actually like when I'm in the gym and I'm training with like these young killers and everything, it's just like, man, no matter how good you get, at some point you're gonna get your ass handed to you. At some point, no matter how good you are, you would take the most hellacious beating at some point in front of everyone when everything on the line.
When I
it's
trained,
just a wild sport. Yeah, sorry.
Like Clayton Carpenter, who's in the UFC now, I used to train with at Power MMA, would make me cry because I was just I couldn't do anything.
Yeah, no, I know.
I'd be like, what do I?
I know exactly
what do I do
what you
to
mean.
this? Yeah,
I know that. I know. I trained with Victor Henry. He's a 35er, and like on the ground, he just like is insane. And like
Dana and Joe Silva having a conversation in the back of the octagon right now.
There's one I would love if you could interview anyone in UFC history. Would it be Joe Silva?
If it was an honest interview, yes. If it
Yeah,
was
100%.
Yeah,
without question, he'd be the white whale.
I can't say who, but someone just yesterday told me that they're on the verge of securing an interview with Joe Silva, and I lost my mind.
How is that even possible?
That was my response. I was like, I don't believe you until you do it. But they said it's like almost across the finish line, and that he wants to do it.
God.
Boom.
Wow.
Whee!
God, the replays is so much more violent.
Yeah.
Oof.
And Miesha was trying. She was trying. She was.
Yeah.
It's like she was.
Her body just stopped working.
Yeah.
Watching it back a second time is such a different experience because in the moment I was so convinced, like, Miesha's got her where she wants her. This is where Miesha turns on and does Miesha stuff.
Well, dude, I mean, Rogan did the same thing when Miesha got on the ground like that. They were like, "Oh, this is good for Miesha." Like, no, she gets choked out like 5 seconds later.
It is impossible to express to someone today how this just did not feel possible that Amanda would be this person. Like,
And
she
remember
definitely felt like a sacrificial lamb coming into this event.
To this, and she ends up being the main event at UFC 200, and she's the final person to speak. It's like, what? Amanda Nunes? But then this wasn't a fluke win, though. I think that's the cool part about this. This wasn't a fluke. Turns out, this is just Amanda Nunes.
And
they interviewed Miesha after getting that beating?
Absolutely.
Wow, I want to hear what Miesha says.
God.
I forgot about this.
That nose looks like it's broken in 3 different places.
Her next fight was at MSG, right? And then that was her first retirement.
Was her next fight Raquel?
Yeah. Against 205 against Raquel.
Oh, Raquel beat her up,
That's
right?
the thing, man.
Yeah.
Bad. Like, it wasn't really competitive. That's the thing about this sport that's so ruthless, man, is like you work your whole entire life. You do every single day for years upon years upon years, and you climb to this mountaintop. You've reached this crazy ascent that everybody thought was impossible, and you're riding like the best moment of your life. And then 8 months later, you're washed up and retired. And it's just like
Miesha had a lot of stuff going on in her life too.
So fleeting, man. Sure,
Robert Wallace. She's not the only person too.
You know?
Oh, that's such a bummer.
Yeah.
Well,
there you go. There's UFC 200. By the way, Amanda Nunes got a bonus for that performance. There were 2 that we didn't reveal. So clearly she got one. And Cain Velasquez got the other one. So there you go.
How much was
There's
the
your
bonus?
No fight of the night. 50,000.
Wait. 50,000? So they
UFC
went
100 was 100,000. UFC 200 was 50,000.
Yeah, man, they were about to sell. I knew they were about to
sell, baby. They paid
That's
Brock
why when you see
$2.5 million.
When you see Dana and Joe Silva talking in the back of that, it's like, I wonder what they're actually talking about.
They're like, hey, we're rich.
They knew that was coming.
We're rich. That is
gate was $10 million, biggest gate ever in the United States. Which is
Enrique Marin was the lowest paid fighter at $13K.
Is that who fought Sage?
And then Thiago Santos got 28.
Sage got more then Sage got as much money as Amanda Nunes.
Yeah.
Disclosed pay, 100,000
Yeah.
each,
and more than Juliana Pena and Kat Zingano combined.
That is
by
what
$1,000. You're right.
But think about that.
Comment
Sorry,
section reminded me of the Joe Rogan crying on a podcast with Ronda while telling her how great her striking was. I totally forgot that existed.
And then I remember speaking of Cowboy. Cowboy was like pushed back, and she's like, "Nah, she sucks. She's just winging him in there." And he's like, "No, she's not. She's like lining him up." And he's like, "No, Joe. No, she's not, Joe."
I mean, you don't want to get hit. I mean, they'll hurt if they land, but I mean, there's aren't good punches though.
It was also against Mexico. Go ahead.
Yeah. It's like, man, that is
No post lim. No post slim on this card.
No post. They bring out John Fitch again.
At this point in the fight, everyone
just trot out John Fitch.
Everyone
at this
leave.
point in the
John Fitch again.
everyone gets shuttled over, not shuttled, like ushered into the tent outside, and Brock Lesnar does the first press conference solo, and it is to this day the windiest tent I've ever been in for a post-fight press conference. I felt that
I was
whole thing
genuinely
was gonna blow away.
scared for my life. I thought that I was going to die.
Oh, yeah.
because that tent was going to collapse.
Yeah, they secured. I mean, the new
100%.
tent's a lot better now, but that tent back then, that was. I remember the
bad.
lights all shaking. It was just like,
Well, because that was their first attempt at it too, so it's like the worst
Yeah.
possible conditions.
'Cause the-
blessed first attempt, and it's like, oh man, this doesn't feel like you tested this enough.
202 was the last event they did the old style press conference, because 201, 202 is when they did all the individual. They brought Nate out, they brought Conor out, they brought Rumble out, like one at a time. And since 202, it's been this format.
They've never gone back to the full Diaz. Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Yeah. Correct.
Part of me appreciates it because you actually get good time with like each person, and you can sort of have real conversations with them. But part of me does miss the old style, because like if you look back at post pressers like 199, where you have Michael and then Luke Rockhold right there, and Michael's just being a shit eater the whole entire time, just making fun of Luke Rockhold after knocking him out. It's just like some of the best entertainment you'll ever see in your life, and like that's
I wish I was there.
Yeah.
Oh,
TMZ
had to be there.
Wow.
TMZ stole my
Thanks,
video
Shane.
from Instagram for because Michael Bisping had a few too many adult sodas in his dehydrated, concussed brain, and was dropping a whole bunch of homophobic slurs.
TMZ who stole our video for the MGM, the John and Cormier push, the MGM live. They stole our video like immediately.
TMZ does that all the time.
Dude, I remember that day that John Cormier push. I remember making a terrible mistake and accidentally unleashing the DC Jon Jones. You think I'm going to let you kill you to the world? Y'all can thank me for that. That was a private video that no one was supposed to see until dumb Shaun got his hands on it. He's like, oh, I got to tweet this out.
You're the guy.
I want to know about more.
Someone at ESPN almost lost their job for that.
I want to know more about this. Man, the biggest shocker, honestly, was the 50K bonus. I didn't when you said 50K, I was honestly shocked, because we got 100K before, and with all the crazy amounts of inflation, let's talk a little bit outside the MMA world, the inflation that we're all dealing with day to day. The fact that it's still 50,000, it is bonkers. But hey, here we are. What are you gonna do? Not my problem.
Listen, Casey, that's 5 times. That's nearly 5 times more than Enrique Marin made for his entire purse to fight Sage Northcutt. So that could have been life-changing money for that young man.
Dude, you go back to like some of the UFC 90s, 80s. Even then, they're doing like 120 bonuses, 110, 80, 90K. Like, and pay-per-views at that point are what? Probably like $40, $50.
Yeah, 49. Yeah.
The grift is just good for them, man. $billion industry.
They're killing it. I mean, they're just tripping over stacks of cash right now, and they just fall on the cat. Like, they're just falling out of windows, and just they land on piles of money, and they're fine, and they just bounce right back up, and they wipe themselves off, and they keep marching down the road. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable what they are doing right now from a business standpoint. It's crazy. But guys, what a look back it was. UFC 200. We are, and there's the music, as we slowly take a trip on the road to UFC 300. We have one more stop at the world's most famous Apex. middleweight main event. We haven't seen that at all this year in 2024. Middleweight main events at the Apex. The card's actually pretty good, and it's an early start time, which I dig too. But this is fun. 100 last week was great.
It was fun.
Good to look back on 200. This is great. I enjoyed it very much. So thank you all very much. MMA Hour tomorrow. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. Cody Rhodes in studio. So
Who else
don't
is in the
miss
studio?
that.
Too?
You never know what's going to happen.
Is it announced? Is it announced who's in the studio tomorrow?
I don't think it's announced yet.
Oh, okay, I won't say then. I'm very excited for the other guests in studio.
Oh. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh,
Find
okay.
out what I'm talking about, what these guys are talking about. Tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, on the MMA Hour. Appreciate you. For Jose, for Casey, for Shaun, I am Mike Heck. Thanks for joining us. Back to normal times. Good night, everybody.
Love you guys.